Add. Wait.
Oh,
Hi,
hey,
friend.
hey, you luckily you caught me. I just got back from dinner.
You know that works because I just got done with dinner.
We were out. We were doing a little Christmas festival thing, and then we got home from dinner.
You know, legit, I am running all over the place because I have a show tomorrow, and in
Oh,
true
lucky.
me fashion, I have tattooing to do.
I usually wait until I get to the show, and then I'm like, shit, what did I write down for this tattoo number?
You know, I did that the last like 6,000 shows, so I'm trying to be productive in that I tattoo tonight. But also, I have like lists of rabbits who already have tattoo numbers that I need to review before I tattoo so I don't do the wrong thing.
Yeah, I've got like five of them that are out in the barn that I tattooed, and the tattoo has came out of their ear, so now I don't even remember what they said.
Right. Well, that's the thing. Like, I have animals we've shown before that have tattoos, and part of the tattoo has come out of their ear. So now I have to touch it up. Otherwise, this judge is going to look at their ear and be like, that's not what it.
Yeah, luckily our judges here, they're a little bit more relaxed. So
Oh,
like
jeez.
they sit there and they're like, do you have a K something something? And they're like the one keeping the book, they're like, yeah, we got that. And they're like, okay.
That works. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
we're good.
like,
Except for whenever it's me, because so I use my initials for my rabbit tree, and then everybody has a number after that.
exactly.
Well, when I have seven homegrowns in the same class with the same numbers, just the last number is different.
Yep.
It's like, okay, which one was that? And then you got me in the crowd. That's that's KOJ 8.
Well, the amount of times, and I'm like partially deaf from, I'm partially deaf. So like they'll be talking and I just keep getting closer and closer just to hear the judges and I just start hovering and it's like I don't mean to tell y'all that this is my rabbit. I just can't hear you.
Yeah, yeah. After they went and judge them, that's when I'll like speak up as when they're trying to read the ear number. But other than that, I don't say anything.
Yep, I try not to, but most of the time they'll be talking and I just try to hear that. I just get so close to the cages and I'm like, y'all, I'm sorry, I just can't hear you.
So, so me and my girlfriend goes to shows with me, and she
Yeah.
stands up on the one end of the table and I stand at the other end of the table. So she'll stand at like the joint of the table where there's
Yep.
two judges, and then I stand
Hmm.
over with whoever's writing down the placings and stuff.
Yeah.
I'll stand over there. So she stands over with her camera and she records everything. And then
That is smart.
I stand over and I listen to what the judge is saying and how he's placing it. So she
Smart.
records it that way
Yeah.
I can go back through and review the video later on.
That is smart because like I I will sit there and I will just hover. Maybe I just need to get like my child to sit there with a phone and just like stare the judges in the face.
Now you have to watch because some judges don't like that. Like the
Yes, you are right.
recording.
Yep.
Some don't like the recording. We haven't met one yet that doesn't,
I haven't
but
either.
we also record the entire class,
Yep.
not just when he's evaluating certain rabbits.
Agreed, agreed. And that can be a huge difference. I do know, talking to you, that there are some shows that don't allow videotaping, like, period. But
Yeah.
other than that, I have yet to meet a judge that, in fact, most of the time when I talk to the judges, like, before or after show, depending, if I'm like, hey, can I, like, talk to you for 5 minutes on camera? They're like, yeah, sure. Especially when I'm like, oh, yeah, I have a YouTube channel or a TikTok. Can I get your, like,
Yeah.
input in XYZ, and they're
So
they're like stoked.
I have several judges that I'm really close friends with that I live close to.
Uh,
And those are the ones that I'm going to get on and actually like when I go to a show, I'm gonna
hmm.
wait until the end of the show and then I'm gonna stop them and be like, listen, or like before the show starts. go up to
Yep.
them and say, "Hey, can I do a quick little interview with you on how you do your processing, like how you go through and look at everybody and evaluate everything, and how you come to your decisions that you make during the classes."
Which is going to be absolutely fantastic. Most of the friends that I have, mentors I have, a lot of them are like previous judges or judges that just haven't been in circuit for a while. And then, of course, I have the friends that they are in circuit, and it's just getting them at the right time, right place.
Yeah. And some of those judges, though, like if you reach out to them, they'd be willing to meet you outside of the show too.
Yes, they are.
So like
They
they
are.
might invite you to their house, and
Mm-hmm.
they'll actually give you a hands-on with some of their rabbits.
Yes, and those are the absolutely most fantastic judges. I absolutely love them.
I so 2 weekends ago we had a show, and it was a triple show for Lionheads. We had a Lionhead specialty, and then it was a double all breed show afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
The judge that judged the specialty show liked the shorter, denser manes, and the two
Mm-hmm.
judges that judged the other shows like that longer, wispier mane.
Yep.
So one of my one of my senior bucks and one of my senior does won in the specialty class, or in the
Yep.
specialty show, and then I went to the regular show tables, and they placed like third and fourth.
Oh, that's nice. Like, still though, you're placing that well. That's still nice, but it does suck when you kind of have that opposing viewpoint. Especially, I have a lot of shows where they'll swap the judge. So you'll have one judge that'll judge the entire class, and then for best of breed, they'll swap the entire thing up and have a different judge do best of breed.
See, we've never had that.
Oh, it drives me nuts.
And even at convention they didn't do that. So at convention we
Really?
had two judges. We had two judges at convention. So what they ended up doing was one judge judged the junior animals, one judge judged the senior animals. And
Okay.
then when it came to variety, they got together and judged all four rabbits together.
I like
So
that. I like that.
one would judge four, and then the other one would judge four, and then they turn around and they would talk.
Okay.
And then when it got down to best of breed, they did the same thing. They took the top animal from every variety, brought them onto the table. Each one of them judged every single rabbit, and then they compared, and then they would go back and look at ones that maybe, okay, he said this, well, he said this, so they would compare, and then that's how they got to the final decision for breed.
Which is nice, especially when I've seen a lot of shows where people will complain about a judge having a bias or not having the background to be able to judge certain animals.
Also, this is another good reason you don't like lion heads.
That is another good reason why I don't like lion heads.
This is just cleaning off my grooming table.
No thanks.
The carpet on my grooming table was holding this.
See, my barn partner came home with those lion heads, and I'm like,
which I want to jump through this phone and smack them for you.
Oh, I know. Especially, I saw those, and I'm like, oh, sweetheart, why the hell did you bring those home?
I'm surprised your first reaction wasn't, listen, have you not seen anything that Travis has posted? This is what you want.
And that was the second thought. The first thought, I asked her, I'm like, what the heck were you thinking? She's like, well, it's a 4-H kid getting out of them, and they gave me a deal I can't refuse. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, there's a reason why sometimes it's a deal you can refuse.
There is a deal you can refuse. It's junk, and it needs to go to a call buyer. Agreed.
And I understand that some kids have an emotional attachment to their animals, but there's a reason why I ate most of my first 3 years of animals compared to sold them.
Right. I have sold one rabbit in the last 2 years from my lion heads.
Yeah.
How'd that taste?
Oh, it's nasty.
Hey, look, there's Julie.
Hi, Julie.
Hello, Julie.
I say Rune popped up a minute ago.
Yes.
Which they're both in the Facebook group too. I hope that stain goes away before show tomorrow. Wouldn't that be some funny shit?
Show me to pop on here. She was going to pop on because she was talking to me today about while I was out at that festival, we were talking about her mini Rexes.
Oh, okay.
She was asking me questions because she has some homegrowns that she's taking to a show tomorrow.
Well,
and
no
so
one
she
is
was asking me
Yeah.
about.
Well, no one is on this live other than me, you, Rune, and Julie. Hey, Travis.
I don't like it.
I love it.
don't.
Do you know what it is?
It looks like a Havana.
It's not a Havana.
What is it? Is it a broken New Zealand?
Almost.
It's not a Satan.
It's not a Satan. It's not a Satan. You know better than that. I only have... Oh, who do I have for Satans? I only have truffles, butters, and scotch for Satans.
I don't.
I'll give you a...
It's broken. It doesn't. The coat don't look Rexy. It just don't.
It's not. It's not. Here, I'll put it on a side view.
Yeah, it looks very New Zealand like. So it
looks
like,
very New Zealand like. Here, I'll give you its sister as comparison.
I don't. It's not a New Zealand, Julie. We've already went there, and they're not checkered giants. Not English spots. Y'all are guessing arch breeds. That's not an arch breed.
It's not an arch breed. It's a commercial.
Let me see. Commercials in brokens.
You're gonna go through the SOP and come up blank.
Oh, because it's a special project you're working on?
Kind of.
Let's see. A commercial breed.
Uh-huh.
That's broken.
Uh-huh. It's not approved.
Rune,
and
it's not an English spot. English spots are a full arch breed.
Plus, I've been bit too many times by English spots to get one. They're nasty.
Let's see. It's not New Zealand, but it's got New Zealand fur.
It does not have New Zealand fur.
No, it's rollback.
It's not a rollback.
What looks like it's rollback there. It doesn't look very flyback to me. Maybe just the age.
It is the age because they're only 8 weeks old.
Rune says broken foxes.
Rune is correct.
See, why you gotta go messing with a breed that's not supposed to be broken?
Leave me alone. That's why it's a special project that doesn't exist, and they will never leave the barn.
And that one there would be eaten because of the nose marking.
You're right. But it was a gift from my friend who knows I have issues.
Well, we all know you have issues.
Oh, but I gotta show you the type on these guys. They're ugly from a color perspective, but type-wise, these are gorgeous. They have some big asses.
It looks like it. It looks like they're going to be a couple of dog food meals.
Exactly. And that's what I have them for, is they are my does that are going to produce, like, dog food that I don't have to worry about when it comes to, like, because you know how a lot of times you get so, like, focused on SOP for commercials that you get more typey than sizey.
See that, and that's why I got out of Californians. Because I went the opposite way.
You got too sizey.
For growth. I went more for growth, and we got away from the type.
Yep.
And when we took them to the fair, they wanted both, and it's like, I don't have both.
I don't. And my silver foxes.
I have 8-week-old kits that are over 5 pounds.
8-week-old. This is 8 weeks. Look at that.
Yeah. Yeah,
And that's the thing. You compare it to, I'll show you another. Same age for my champagnes. Same age for champagnes.
yeah, that's phenomenal growth rate. But I know
I get so
I
on
know
type.
you, and you are so, oh, I love it. I'm not gonna kill it. And then it just takes
No.
up space like the champagnes did for how long?
But now,
But how long did they sit in the barn and they just didn't do anything?
3 years. 3 years.
Taking up space, eating
Okay.
feed.
Yes, yes, yes. And when you have 100 plus rabbits, as long as it's blackish in color, no one knows the difference.
Yeah, but champagnes aren't blackish in color.
Kind of black. Okay, you want to know how I hid them?
When they're
Exactly.
babies.
Exactly. Well, not only that, but the way I hid them, I just said they were over silvered silver foxes.
And how long did that last for you?
They still believe it. The champagnes don't exist in my barn. I'm telling you, I don't have champagnes in my barn.
Until you take a litter to the farm, until you take a litter to the show and they do well, and then you're like, oh yeah, those have been here for 3 years.
Okay, so I have a city boy husband who doesn't understand how long it takes to perfect a breed. It works to my advantage.
See, I have a girlfriend that had just got introduced to even breeding and showing rabbits 8 months ago, and she already knows how many are in my barn and how many go in and how many don't go out.
Mistakes were made by you on that. You should have lied and just been like, oh yeah, it's not, and then you could have played on to it and then you just work with it.
See, she helps me in the barn.
Okay, that is nice. So therefore I retract my statement. Love your girlfriend. She's fantastic.
And she records all of my shows.
Okay. She's a keeper. Tell her the truth, the whole truth, and the honest truth. I love her.
We just keep breedings quiet until we're like, hey, you want to put a nest box in for me?
I can't blame you because I have 12 nest boxes in my barn right now. So
I've got 4 on litters, 3 on boxes, and 5 still need boxes.
I like that. That is fantastic.
But it's all done in purpose for a show.
Exactly.
Coming in April.
Exactly. And as much as you want to hate on my projects that don't produce results, I just got to say, I only have 4 meat mutts in the barn. Nanas, you want back up on the bed? What's wrong? You want back up on the bed? Come here. Ugh. So I only have 4 meat mutts in the barn. Everything else is showable. Well, the meat mutts are technically showable if I want to put them as something that's not Satan, but...
Okay, well, there's a difference between showable and showable, though.
You are correct, especially since, have you seen the blue-eyed whites I've put on the table?
Well, see, you got them stupid blue-eyed whites.
I love them.
You got the how many torted silver foxes do you have now?
I plead the 5th.
Uh-huh. I gotta scoot up. I can't read far away.
I'm telling you.
Let's see. Rune says just keep growing the barn. Rune, there's a problem with that. When you get a pre-manufactured barn, it's hard to make additions.
Put Gecko on.
And then you have to come up with an excuse on how to get a bigger barn. Or
I already have an excuse for that.
Fake a fire in the barn.
I haven't gotten that far, but the way I said that I needed to expand my barn is that the horses' barn fell apart last winter, and now they need a new barn. So now... Did you put Gecko on? You want to watch Tom and Jerry? Put on Gecko, please. We're obsessed with Gecko's Garage right now.
Oh, my niece is inside watching Spidey.
Oh, is that the new one, Into the Multiverse?
No, the cartoon one.
Yeah. There's a cartoon one, like the series. It's like Into the Multiverse, but not.
I think maybe there's 3 spiders and they battle the villains in the city. There's
Yep.
Spidey, there's Spin, and there's one other one. I don't remember. I don't remember. Ghosty.
Yep.
Something. And then
Yep.
they fight Green Goblin and Rhino and
Yep.
Doc
and it's the
Ock.
little cartoon ones that are like blockish and huge. It's almost like the PJ Masks. Yep.
Almost like a PJ Masks spinoff.
Yep.
With Spidey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We've watched every episode 17 times, so.
Yep. I
could probably recite every episode.
Oh, that's the fun of having children. You no longer get to watch fun things. You have to watch PJ Masks.
Listen, my son is 10. My youngest is 10. I don't have to listen to that. He gets mad when I don't turn the football game on.
See, you're lucky. My eldest she's going to be 7 in February.
Oh,
and
lucky you. You're just getting into the grades. Because guess what? My oldest is 14 and she has
Mm-hmm. See, that's not fair because now you're getting into the teenage years where they're getting spicier.
Try a 10-year-old that's like double that because he's every hair pulled out of my butt you could imagine.
Well, that's Mother Nature just coming back at you because you just have to deal with a child that's you incarnate.
With the volume turned up.
Yeah.
And the bass turned up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These Gen Alpha kids or something.
Yeah, but you know what? Every time I look at him, though, he does something dumb, and I'm like, man, that's Gen X all over again.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, I don't even try to correct him half the time because I'm proud of him, but I don't want to yell.
Yep.
I don't want to cheer him on because I don't want it to be good, but I don't want to yell because he did something sweet.
Yep. Oh, trust me, I get it.
Looks like Julie Joyner says, I've gotten back into a no baby situation. None of my buns will give me babies.
Babies.
Listen, you missed the last good breeding cycle for probably about a month.
Are you doing moon cycles?
We had a full moon, and I had 4 does that would not lift for 3 weeks.
6 does here.
Put them in, and they lifted right away.
Yep. Follow them moon cycles. I know it sounds like poppycock, but you follow the moon cycles, it works.
And then Rune says, my one adult doe was supposed to give birth today, but nothing yet. Rune,
my does go to 31 to 33.
My best advice, Rune, is patience. I've had does go 27 days. I've had does go 38 days. Patience.
Yep.
Second is palpation. Work on learning how to palpate because you will save yourself so much time. I palpate at 2 weeks, and if it's not bred, it goes right back in.
You and I need to talk next time we see each other in person because I have been at this since high school. I still do not have palpating down to a science.
I have had one incorrect palpation in the 20-something years that I've been doing it. One. And that was on a Flemish Giant.
Okay, I could see that because Flemmies, giants of any breed are a fucking bitch. But I can't.
I went to the friend of mine's house and she has Flemish. And she's like, I can't tell. Can you feel? I felt. And I thought it felt like she had babies. But apparently Flemish Giant poop is giant. And it makes it feel like little grapes like you're supposed to feel. So I must have felt a gut full of poop because she didn't have any babies.
That is fantastic. See, I can't feel so you know how at 2 weeks you're supposed to feel grapes? I can't feel grapes, but at 3 I can feel extension of the uterus. I can't feel individual babies.
So with my lion heads, what I have found with at 2 weeks, in the standard that was written by whoever, whenever they were doing their commercial breeds, they're supposed to be a grape size at 2 weeks. Yes. I've noticed more with mine. They're more of like a blueberry to like between a Skittle and a blueberry size.
So like fingernail size.
They're a lot smaller and they feel a lot more like poo, but they're squishier. Like if you feel them, they're like a little jelly, like a boba bead.
Yeah.
They're like that inside of them.
Okay.
And then I repalpate right before I put the box in to verify. Because at that point in time, you should feel a fully developed kit. You should be able to feel legs, rib cage, head, all of that. And I've gotten lucky with all of mine. I've actually felt the kits move.
I was gonna say, I like feeling when you get ready to put the nest in, when you go to palpate, you can feel the little babies moving around.
I had one doe that I palpated her, and the baby did not move, and I held on to the baby for 30 to 45 seconds. I held on to it. It didn't move, and I ended up losing that doe because she had a dead kit inside of her.
Jeez.
Yep. She was unable to get it out, and I don't like to intervene at all in my barn, because if I have to help, it's a rabbit that doesn't deserve to be in my barn, in my opinion.
I agree. The only way I step in, and you've been seeing it this week with the babies, is, when we get like that weather that goes like, oh, let's go 80 to 20 to 80 to 20 to 80 to 20.
You know what temperature it was today?
What?
Almost 60. You know what it was yesterday? 30.
What was it?
It was 30 yesterday. Overnight, 2 nights ago, overnight was 16 degrees. Tonight, it's 40.
See, I've been stepping in because it's been bouncing so much that I'm not willing to lose a whole bunch of babies, especially since I have like a bunch of new moms. And like I have my moms that know what they're doing, like Sheba, good to go. But the new moms, I'm not willing to risk the bouncing temperatures to play that game when I need silver foxes and champagnes.
Let's see. This Jay says, do you two just always try to one-up each other?
Yes.
I mean, we're not trying to. It's just one of those things that happens.
It does. And not only that, but like, especially when you get into the breeder community, like the way we bond as friends is to sit here and just fuck with each other, and to sit here and like banter back and forth about rabbit things. This is literally when you get up to with people that literally our entire like free time is spent with rabbits. You literally sit here and like, well, I've done this and I've done this. And it's not like a bad thing. It's like, that's how we bond.
And it's one of those things that the way I feel is, it's not banter as much as you raise different breeds than I raise.
Yes.
So my experience is different than your experience, and we can play that off of each other and make a broader projection.
Oh, definitely. Because there are things.
Rune commented on here that she has no clue what she's feeling for when she's palpating. So I'm going to make a palpation video. Probably not this breeding cycle, because everybody's within that less than 2 weeks from being due.
Yep.
But my next round of breeding, I will do a palpation video just because my kids are in 4-H, and in 4-H they get a rabbit resource book, and in there it breaks down palpation phenomenally. So I will use that as a tool I'll post pictures of it in the Facebook group. I will post all the pictures, and that way you can go in and read all the media also. But I will make a video on a live demonstration of palpating. That way, if the people don't learn from reading, hopefully my video can help them just a little bit.
Definitely.
I wish I still had the commercials to show that, because commercials are so easy to palpate. And the little compacts like the lion heads, you get into that small chest cavity into the pelvis. You don't have a lot of abdomen in there to actually feel when you're trying to feel for babies. And I will say, I had my first litter this cycle was my biggest litter I've ever had in the barn of lion heads. My typical litter is 2 to 4, and she's first time mom, and she gave me 6 kits.
Nice.
And she's only lost one, and she lost that one because they were almost 3 weeks old, and it was just getting out competed for food and everything. And I think it was the runt. It was the runt,
Yep.
and it was
I was
having a
just
hard
about to
time
ask
keeping
that.
up. Yep, it was just having a hard time keeping up, so he didn't make it.
Yeah.
But
Well, especially on
I
the
still got
small.
5 sweet little fuzzballs.
Especially on the smaller breeds. The larger litter, like if I have a litter that's more than 5, I know I'm gonna lose at least one.
I'm getting to the point. So it's this cold snap that we're having. I've had 3 does that normally have great litters. I've had them have them on the wire on me. And I think
Really?
it's because my barn is too warm, because I put my heater close to my brood does that are getting ready to kindle.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yep.
put the heater closer to them, and they felt more comfortable. They built the nest on the wire, had the babies on the wire, and then I was able to find them before they were dead and put them in the nest boxes. Well, one of them decided she wasn't going to take care of them anymore, and she started pulling them out of the nest box and laying them on the wire.
Yep.
Well, I was lucky enough to save 2 of them, fostered them onto a doe that had a singleton, and she ended up losing one of the babies because it was already getting cold and it was doing that death squeak.
Oh, I know. Mm-hmm.
And I tried to save it. I held on to it, got it nice and warm and everything. It had quieted down. And as soon as I put it down, it did the stiff as a board death squeak again.
Yep. And that little death throw thing.
And then the second one, it's still alive and it's doing good. It's in, the mom had, last litter she had 4. This litter she had 1. So I know she's a good doe. She's taking care of them perfect. It's a 2-week-old little fat munchkin.
Yep.
And then the other one, they were a week old, and all of a sudden she decided she not want anything in the nest box anymore, and took everything, all her fur, all the straw, everything completely out of the nest box and left the babies in.
Mm-hmm.
And the babies just didn't have anything to keep warm, and they ended up freezing.
That is the worst, though, when stuff
And
like that happens.
it happened overnight. So it wasn't like that the night before when I was feeding. And I went out the next morning and everything was out of the nest box and the babies were dead.
Jeez.
And there was no way I could have even fostered them.
Yep.
Because that doe that I fostered the other litter on, she would have taken more.
Yeah.
But I wasn't even able to foster them off to save them.
And that is just the worst feeling in the world when
it was a litter of Duluth torts too.
Of course it was.
It had a lilac tort and a chocolate tort in it.
Are you serious?
Yep. She's rebred though, so let's see. Julie Joyner, going off the moon cycle, when should I breed my rabbits again? Watch for your full moon.
Yep.
Full moon is when you want to breed.
Yep. And I know it's an old wives' tale, but it works.
I will put my does in 2 to 3 days before the full moon. That gets them, it tricks their mind into thinking, even if they don't want to breed then, it tricks them into it. And then you go out 2 to 3 days later on the full moon, put them back in, and they'll lift again.
Yep. So what I do is right before a full moon, I put my rabbits in their travel cages. I go to get myself a nice, expensive $8 coffee from Starbucks.
Hello, Bless Your Pets.
And it works. It is works.
Yeah, anything to disturb their natural cycle. You want something that's just gonna get them off a little bit, you know.
Yep.
Letting them sit there in the cage until you're ready to put them in with the buck. It's mundane to them. You want something that's going to get them out and get them like sort of confused, and it'll induce a heat cycle. Rabbits aren't like cows and horses. They don't go through standard heat cycles.
Induced ovulators.
They need stimulants to kick them into a heat cycle.
Yep.
And that's why I always, if you're in there and the doe is really aggressive to you, I'll put her in with a buck, because that's 9 times out of 10 that's her telling you she wants bred.
So you're telling me to breed Danny 20 million times out of the year. Got it.
Well, I've got does out. I've got a doe in the barn right now that has a box in it that still attacks me.
Yep.
So it's I've noticed though that when I know they're not bred and that's not normal for them to be acting that way, that is when I know that it's a cycle and I need to breed them. If I want babies that cycle. If I don't want babies that cycle, I ignore them and tell them to stop it.
Right. Danny's my my blind doe on the left side.
Well,
so she's just aggressive,
right
period. Do what?
You said she's the blind doe on the left side. Why not put her on the right side?
She is on the right side. It's just she puts herself in a corner on so where every time I reach in, it's always her blind side.
Also, I've had 2 breedings this fall that I've actually had to hold the doe to get her to stop humping the buck for the buck to do his job.
Yep.
And I know it's weird. I know it's weird to reach in there and actually hold the doe down for the buck to do his thing, but I've done it twice now this fall. Because she is so wanting bred that he's taking too long to get to the punch. And she's like, no, I'll show you how it's done.
Yep, and they get so aggressive because they want bread, and the buck isn't moving fast enough. Yeah,
Rune says that's definitely my doe. She gets so angry if I don't get her with a buck in time.
Mm-hmm.
Blessed with pets. So I did not want this color cross buck. I bred my black otter doe to my magpie today. I don't think it's gonna matter anyway, because I'm 99% sure he's not fertile, but she was finally being active,
receptive amount.
Blessed with pets.
She's in Louisiana, so it's like 80 plus most of the year. So just to give you a background on that.
Temperature plays a big part in a buck being sterile and not sterile. But when you get below that 90 to 95 degrees, they should be fine.
Yes. Especially if they're used to the higher temp.
Magpies are a no-no in any tan or shaded program.
Magpies are a no-no in anything when it comes to anything, because it can create harlequinized XYZ. So I know you have a caster program you're looking at doing, or a tricolor program, which is an agouti based. You're going to get a lot of harlequinized XYZs, and that's going to be difficult.
Yes, I don't support harlequins or magpies. You're gonna hear me yelling at them every day, all day. I don't support them.
Stop
they have their own breed for a reason. They don't belong in other breeds.
But Travis, tricolors.
I had a program for 6 years that I never had one harlequin, never had one brindle. I had blacks, broken blacks, and tries.
But tricolor. I'm gonna sit here. Every time you bring this up, I'm gonna sit here and play this game. But no, you are right. Harleys cause such a big problem in a lot of breeding programs, even if I'm gonna sit here and pick on you. And I can definitely see if you're not working on a straight
pets. Blessed with Pets says receptive in mounting the buck, and neither of my black bucks were cooperative. Hold your doe. Give the buck time to do his thing.
Yep.
The bucks need time to sniff around, see what they're getting into, check the doe.
If
the doe is overly ambitious, he doesn't have time. He's just going to keep running himself in circles, and he'll just give up. He will give up. He will sit in the corner of the cage after being ran around by that doe, and he will not breed.
And especially if it's a young or a shy buck, a lot of those bucks, they get even a little bit of aggression from the doe, they back off, which is why I have an extremely raunchy buck to deal with those does. But most does aren't.
I have a couple aggressive bucks, but not for that reason. I have them because their type is phenomenal. I would rather hold down. Yeah. I would rather hold down a doe and give a buck time than keep an aggressive buck.
Whirlwind, though, his type is like it's great, but he is my aggressive buck to throw a doe in with. But you Julie, are right, type before attitude.
Julie, you're sitting about the same temperature we are here in Ohio. You're sitting at about 46 degrees. We're right around that same temperature right now. And she says, I've also decided to focus on my chinchillas and blues or bews, whatever you want to call them.
Bews.
Them raunchy little mini Rexes that need to go back to Satan.
You leave my Satans alone.
So I'll be looking for these wink wink, Maddie.
Lily's bred, but I won't be selling anything out of that.
Julie, I hope you're not considering crossing those lines, though.
Yeah, do not cross
your chins and your blues. Keep your blues separate from everything in your barn. They have their own dedicated area. That is where blues need to be.
I agree, 100%.
They will screw up every other variety in your barn.
It will.
And it don't matter. Yeah. It don't matter if you accidentally breed them in or you test breed them in. You can't get rid of it once it's in.
Yep.
It stays in their genetic code forever, and it could go 7 generations and pop up.
Even if you don't have a pop. Yep.
And
never breed a chocolate variety into a blue line.
I say never breed a chocolate in, never breed shaded in, and never breed a goody in.
Depends on the agouti.
You need to watch your banding on your agoutis too. Your chins, watch your banding because they're going to judge it on that. That is part of that color. You need to
watch with roughest wideband versus short band. Yes.
You will watch. You go to a show table and you watch them judge your chin variety, and you'll see every judge go to every rabbit and blow into their fur to check ring color. They check your ring color, they check your band width, and they check the depth on the shaft.
They do. And we have the sweetest old lady. I absolutely love her. She is fantastic with my children. Absolutely love her. She's like the grandma of the shows. She will beat me every single time because her banding, perfect. Her banding on her agoutis is so nice on those casters. But she beats me every time. Love her dearly, though. She's absolutely fantastic.
Blessed with Pets, your second buck sounds like he didn't want to be with that doe. The other buck, the reason why he sat there for 10 straight minutes while she humped him is because she wouldn't leave him alone. Mm-hmm. That's the one you need to hold her down at the bottom of the cage and let him do his thing. He's a shy buck. Yep. He's not the aggressor. He's going to sit there and he's going to let her do whatever. He's going to get wore out and then he's going to go hide.
Yep. Now, the other thing you can try is the rubber band method. If you're having trouble holding, rubber band method has worked for me multiple times.
Julie Joyner says, my dwarf Hodo doe is receptive and lifting, but my buck isn't finding his target. He will mount her and he will kind of get up and go back to sniffing.
Julie, rearrange the buck.
How old is your buck? What age is he? Because he may not be mature yet. Mm-hmm. Some bucks take longer to mature. Some bucks don't take as long. I have junior bucks that I have bred at 5 months.
Yep.
They had dropped and they were receptive. I've also had senior bucks go 8, 9, 10 months before they drop. The other thing, check him for split penis. Check him for being an intact testes.
You're fine, baby girl.
And test them with another doe. So it may just be the doe. He may be to the point where he just isn't a good buck anymore. I've had that. I've had bucks that don't last.
Out. Blessed
with Pets says, I held her down and used the rubber band method, and he just wasn't interested at all.
Out. How long after this was it after she was harassing him though? Out. Because if you didn't do that from a perspective of going in right away, he could be already done with that doe and need a reset day or a reset time.
Yes.
You want out or in?
I always give my bucks. So if they get terrorized by a certain doe, I don't put them back in with that. I don't put that doe back in with that buck for a couple days because they're going to remember that. And they're not going to want to be around that doe.
Yep. While we are on this live, though, for our special project you and I have been talking about, do we want to do it in like this setup live, or are we going to do a pre-recorded thing?
So, honestly, I think that should be up to the fans. Would they be more interested in interacting live with us and giving us questions to answer live, or would they rather see a pre-recorded that they can sit and watch later on?
I think that's a really good point.
I think the one where we get to other people and ask them to help or to join in with us, I think those are going to have to be pre-recorded. But based on schedules with everybody else. But,
no, definitely.
Just anything else like general knowledge, information kind of things. I think a live like this could be beneficial.
Oh, definitely.
Especially when these guys, because we see it every time I get on here and you're just yourself in a live, we get questions from everybody. I mean, and I try to answer them in the messages, and I know you can't always see them, and if I get to them, you'll be like, yeah, just what Travis said.
That's a lot. I was like, just listen to Travis.
Blessed with Pets says, I tried holding down first, and when he wasn't interested, I just let her go. This was table breeding. Then I moved him back to his cage and later put her in, and he attacked her also. Blessed with Pets, I never table breed. Never. Nope. Never, because that buck isn't interested in anything but marking his territory at that point. Always, number one rule, always take the doe to the buck's cage. Number two rule, never leave them unattended. Never leave them unattended. Because a doe will castrate a buck.
They will.
And you will never know it. She can reach under there and snip, and you'll never know it. There won't be an ounce of blood. There won't be any sign of anything. And now you've got a sterile buck on your hands, and you don't even know it.
Well, you know it after like 6-7 months of rebreeding and breeding,
but then you're in the same circumstance as some of these breeders. They're like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I don't know. Well, did you watch? Did you watch your doe and buck the entire time? Because the minute you take your eye off of them is the minute something's going to happen.
Yep. I agree.
Julie Joyner. Yeah. We can add you into a live one time maybe, or I don't have Wi-Fi or cell phone service in my barn, so I really can't do that. So the live that I did earlier today on Facebook, on the Facebook Live, that was in the garage here where I'm sitting right now. I made like a little studio with my grooming table. So that I can try to work with you guys with rabbits right in front of me on a live so that you guys can interact. And I'm going to be doing those as often as you want me to. You guys give me feedback. I need feedback so that I know I can carry a carrier full of rabbits up here put them on my grooming table, and we can go over any and every question you have about a rabbit. Now, it's not going to be the same across all the breeds because I have lion heads. They're different pose. They have different criteria, but the general knowledge of a rabbit is going to be the same.
It is.
Breeding, handling, posing. Posing is going to be harder because of the different breeds, different poses, but you still get the gist of handling them to set them up.
Yep.
Let's see, Rune. I like lives, but also it always depends on scheduling and having time. Videos are good too. So we can post these lives. These lives can be posted in the videos, so you can go back and watch them. So you don't have to be in the live. You can just be at home whenever and rewatch it. The entire thing.
And I do post the lives in my live playlist after we're done with them, but there is a little more interaction when it comes to being live yourself.
Blessed with Pets, is it normal for sterile bucks to be completely dried up? Explain dried up, please, because I need to know further context on that, because I don't know what you're meaning by dried up. Is it dried up on not making babies, or is it being his testes have shriveled up and dried into little dried prunes? I don't know what you're meaning by that.
If we're talking about the dried prune things, like my best buck Moose, who he'll breed anything and everything with no problem, and they always look like prunes.
So I've noticed two different things. If I go out and my water dishes are empty, their testes are dried up and not dried up, but shriveled up.
Yeah.
If I go out at the end of the day after I've watered and fed and it's been a couple hours, they're plump and full again. It's hydration. Hydration has a lot to do with it. Just same thing. Same thing with guys. A guy is the same way.
I'll take your word for that.
And Julie wants you to explain the rubber band method, and I'm going to let you on that because I've never done it. I've never really tried it.
Yeah. So rubber band method. You have a rabbit like this. They have a tail, right? You're going to take a rubber band. You're going to wrap it around the tail. And when it's wrapped around, you pull up. So it kind of works like your hand being here and pulling up, except for you have a rubber band on the tail pulling up. So it's the same idea of lift, but not with your hands.
So you do that. You know what I do? I go underneath the back of the rabbit like this, and their butt is at my fingertips, and I'll just lift up on their abdomen. I'll keep them on the cage floor so that their legs are flat, but I'll lift them up just a little bit on their abdomen. So I don't do the rubber band because I've noticed my bucks don't like when my hands are on top of the doe. If my hands are on top of the doe or anywhere around the top, they're more interested in my hand than they are the doe.
Leave it to a buck. So the reason why I normally recommend the rubber band method is for newbies who don't know how to get the ass at the right angle, so to speak, if that makes sense.
Yeah, my does, so I have some does that they lift really high, and I have some does that don't lift high. So really, it's one of those things that I can't tell you a set height that the rabbit needs to lift because I've experienced all of it. So that's why I just take my hand and I'll put it underneath of there and I'll just push it up just to where their hind end isn't tucked tight against the bottom of the cage. Because the bucks, and I felt it, the bucks can go underneath of the doe and push him up. He can lift him up just a little bit to get into the position he needs.
Oh, yeah. No,
but
I agree with you.
That's two different methods that are the same style of method, just two different ways of doing it. I lift them from underneath. The rubber band method, you put it around the tail, tuck the tail off to the side, and just give them a little tug.
Yep. No, definitely. And there's a lot of other things that you can try to use. I've just found the way you do it with your hand underneath the animal and the rubber band method are normally the most successful when it comes to interfering.
I've also noticed other people say lighting. Change your lighting.
Change your light schedule. Change your lighting. Anything to induce like a season change.
Yep.
If you're having problems with does getting bred, induce a season change artificially. Change your temperature in your barn. Change the lighting in your barn. Anything to throw their little tiny peanut-sized brain into thinking that it's time to make babies again.
Yep.
Because everybody says they'll breed like rabbits. Well, guess what? Rabbits don't always breed like that. Everybody wants to say they'll breed like rabbits. They'll breed like rabbits. Well, rabbits don't breed that much. If you look at a wild rabbit, they have 2 litters a year. 2.
That's what always gets me giggling, though.
If anybody wants to say anything, they'll breed like feral pigs. Feral pigs are horrible.
Feral pigs. I lived in Louisiana for, 4 years? And the pig population down there was worse than any rabbit population I could ever imagine.
Exactly. That's why everybody wants to say they'll breed like rabbits. I want to correct them and tell them, no, you haven't seen feral pigs breed. They breed like feral pigs. Feral pigs can have a litter suckling and be pregnant. I've never had a rabbit. I've never had a rabbit that I've taken out of the nest box and put in with a buck and then be receptive.
I have, but it's not often.
It's not often, and it's not humane.
I agree.
Give the doe time to recuperate.
I agree. But the time I do it is when they have like litters of 1 and 2, and they're fine.
I only did it on 2 of my does this round because it was my 2 Duluth carriers that lost their litters. They both lost their litters, and I want the litter of Duluths to take to nationals.
Yep, I get that.
So then I put them back in with the bucks, and even at that, it took me a week to get them to rebreed.
Jeez.
Let's see, what do we got here? Rune says, that's how my experienced boy got my young glued to the wire doe to lift. He lifted her. Oh, yeah. Rune was saying that she had one of her bucks lift the doe because she wouldn't. And she says, I wish the feral cats would keep it to 2 litters a year. I'm not going to talk about feral cats. I have a hatred for cats. I'm a dog man.
Legit. I have 4 cats, so I can't say anything. But,
Blessed with Pets says, my magpie is a screamer when he falls off. And by dried up, I mean his testes are completely shriveled up and the bottom are almost black. I'm going to say your buck that you're considered, the buck you're considering is dried up is sterile. A doe sterilized him.
Especially the black, that's not necessarily, like, I've never seen, like, a normal buck be, that sounds like a necrosis.
I'm going to guarantee you that a doe got a hold of him. You didn't see it happen, but a doe got a hold of him, pinched off the blood supply, and they're dying. I hate to be that kind of person, but that buck would be coyote food to me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to take the chance of anything. And if he is as bad as you're saying, he's not going to produce a litter for you anymore. And I would remove him from the situation. I'm sorry. I'm a hard caller. I don't have a lot of space. I've got 36 cages right now. And I've got 23 of them filled.
In the words of Cara Perez, a mentor I take very seriously, bucks are good for 2 things. Feeding and fucking. And that is it.
I show my bucks. My bucks are my show animals. I show junior does, junior bucks, and senior bucks.
Okay, legit.
Because as soon as my senior does, or as soon as my junior does senior, they get bred.
For me, it depends on the doe. Like I can have a doe that retains type after a litter. Like let's say she's had her litter, and I'm just like, oh, I need to finish out this leg. I'll finish out a grand on a doe after she's had a litter if I need to.
Rune said that does sound like what it looks like when we used to band their bull calves. Yes, I know what that birdizozos, whatever you want to call it. I'm not good with the words, but basically what it is, it's a big pair of clamps, and the vet comes out. They get the bull in the squeeze chute, and then they go in behind it and they go crunch, and they crunch all of the veins and everything that's going to that, and it basically eliminates anything that is connected to them, and then they just sit there and they're dead. It's not as humane as banding. Banding, at least it constricts it, then they fall off. With that way, they're still attached, but it eliminates the threat.
It's okay.
So yes, Rune, I would remove said buck from the program.
Yep.
He would be compost in my situation. We don't eat my rabbits because my rabbits would give you like a nugget.
You are missing out on soup.
Listen, I'm not eating nugget soup. I ain't eating nugget soup. It's fuzz and nugget soup.
That's what you get for raising fluffy breeds.
Listen, my fluffy breeds are amazing.
They are amazing and they are glorious, but I don't want to hear it.
I'm a designer biatch, all right? I like my little designers.
No, you don't understand the disdain I had for lion heads in the mid 2000s when the COD was coming out.
You mean
I was
in 2003 when the breed was introduced into the United States and they look like crap and I hated them? And I bred mini Rex for 15 years and showed against them and beat them every time. And I said, I will never own those. I will never own those disgusting rabbits.
Exactly.
And here I am with 23 of them.
That's what I'm saying.
And 0 mini Rex.
No, I wish I had a mini Rex to shove into. I need a tattoo banana, but freaking when I was first introduced to showing rabbits, it was just mini Rex, and me and my friend were talking. I remember this very clearly. We were talking about how horrible lion heads were and how ugly they were and how the breed is never going to become a breed because no one can get their shit together to pass a COD.
That was my exact comments too. My exact comments. And I still talk to the girl that was the first one in my county with lion heads back in 2003. I still talk to her and I'm like, you remember that time when I said I would never own these?
Oh, I know. And my friend, she no longer raises rabbits, period. My friend was the one who got me into raising rabbits. She introduced me to mini Rex. She now lives in Maryland. And I was talking to her the other day, and I'm like, yeah, I'm doing XYZ. I still have the mini Rex, da-da-da-da. And I'm like, you'll never believe what my barn partner brought home. And I told her, she brought home some lion heads. And she goes, oh, those little shits you would never raise because they're so ugly. I said, I'm still not raising them. And they're still ugly. At least that line.
Yeah, except for you then you turn around and you tell her, like, listen, there's this guy in my group and he's got the most beautiful lion heads I've ever seen. I want one.
I haven't told her for the hypocrisy. Because as soon as I say something, she is gonna fucking destroy my ass.
Rune says someday she's getting Angoras. I swear it shall be a floof-pocalypse. Rune, I will steer you away from Angoras unless you have a lot of time on your hands.
I don't.
Stay away from Angoras. If you want a fuzzy breed, if you want a fuzzy, floofy breed, and you don't have time on your hands to dedicate, 3 breeds: Lion heads, Jersey Woolies, American Fuzzy Lops.
I was going to say the Jersey Woolies.
3 wool breeds that you can get that you don't need hours to prep for show. And when I say hours, I mean hours. I was at a show. I went to a show that was the Angora Nationals and they were hosting it at one of our shows. There were people that were there at 3 o'clock in the morning to start grooming Angoras, and the show didn't start till 9.
Yep. Which
don't do it unless you have hours to dedicate per show.
Yep. And we have an Angora breeder in the group. Have you seen Angel's Angoras?
Yes.
They're gorgeous. They're fluffy, and every single time she posts them, I'm like, oh, I would love to have one, but not happening.
They are beautiful, but there's 2 things: you gotta shear them, and then you gotta groom them.
Yep.
And I ain't about shearing, and the lion head wool is as far as I go as grooming. There was a long time that I refused to have wool breeds because of grooming, and then I got into Jersey Woolies, and it proved that fact wrong on certain wool breeds. Now I got the lion heads, and I'm like, well, these are great. I groom. It takes me 3 minutes to groom them, and they're done.
I'll never have a wool breed. Gets lion heads. I know they're not like a true, like full wool breed, but
I said I would never have a wool breed, and I started with Jersey Woolies.
That hypocrisy.
I started with Jersey Woolies, but that's because I wanted the size of the Netherland Dwarf without the attitude of the Netherland Dwarf.
Nevies are fucking bitches. I love them, but they're sassy as hell.
But it's also the reason why I don't have any Brits in my barn. I love them. I love the tiny little arch breed. But I do not want them little devils in my barn.
No Britannia Petites. Those fucking things are fucking devils.
You go up to them and they got the biggest, beadiest eyes ever. And then they sit there, and I watched a judge throw one across the table that was latched onto his hand. Yep. It latched onto his hand. He went like this and threw it across the table just to get it off of him. Yep. I know judges personally that will not breed Brits. When they get hired to judge, that is their criteria. No Brits. No. So my one mentor, Stephanie Hughes, you see her in the group all the time. She's a retired ARBA judge. You want to know what her I will never touch it again breed is?
Mini Rexes?
Nope. Try again.
Oh, let's see. I don't know. There's only a couple breeds that have a bad attitude, and that's Netherland Dwarfs and Brits. The rest of them are manageable.
No, she raises Britannias.
Oh, fuck that.
She does. The one she won't touch, and every time I send her pictures to review, Champagne des Argents.
Well,
they're bitches. I love them.
Listen, I don't like a breed that changes colors.
Oh, I love it.
I love the cremes. I love the cremes.
You are right. I have a breeder right now that I'm trying to con into a pair of cremes, but they're so specific who they sell to because they don't want it to turn into something somebody just sells for profit.
I've also noticed, though, there's some breeders that will not sell to anybody that shows in their area.
You aren't wrong, and that's the other problem I'm having with the creme breeders. That is the other problem I'm having with the cremes, because we have a breeder, her creams are just drool worthy.
The other one that I got to see for the first time at convention was the St. Hubert. The St. Hubert des Argents.
How'd you like those?
I can't say that I loved them, but I didn't hate them.
Okay.
I mean, they're on the English lop side for me. I don't hate them. I just don't see the purpose.
Okay, I get that.
Like, why do you need 13, 17-inch ears?
Why not? Why don't you need that?
I did fall in love. With this one, and he was in the exhibition show because it was a variety that they just got approved at this convention. It was the otters. The otter English lops.
Oh yeah, those.
I was like, oh, and it was a black otter too. It was a black otter. I love my dilutes. Listen, I will sell every black in my barn to get dilutes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But it was a black and it was so freaking beautiful.
Remind me when we're off the live, I need to bring you into a genetics group.
Okay. I hate genetics. I hate genetics.
I get that, but I
don't follow the C's, the big C's, the little C's, and the F's, and the G's, and the O's, and the P's. I don't follow all that. I said, okay, I'm gonna breed them. I see what they produce. I look in their background. I know what carries what.
Okay, so it's not the C genetics, it's the B's.
You got me there.
It's a chocolate. It's chocolate.
But also shadeds hang on the end in the littles.
Yeah.
So if you have a roux, they can't carry that. They can be a genetic tort, which has the littles, but they can't carry that shaded little C. So like, that's why I say roux are number one key to have in your barn. Number one key.
Yes, I agree.
Because
especially with what I have.
They will produce it, but they can't carry it.
Yes. But we're working on a project right now. May I introduce you to genetic chocolates? You know they're genetic chocolates, right? Mom and dad are chocolates.
Yes.
They look black.
It's because of the Rufus.
Except for Rufus factor is only true on agoutis and not selfs.
But it can also change your colors in selfs.
Which is why I need to bring you into this group. Because we have a program right now that we're looking at the silver foxes. We have a specific line that are chocolates, right? And these are breeders that are like eyes on their animals that are chocolates producing what look to be black animals. And we're calling it the Bitter Chocolate Program. And I need an outside viewpoint of somebody who's not a silver fox breeder.
So just start calling those the dark chocolates. Say you have your milk chocolates and your dark chocolates.
I agree. They're the bitter, but we're trying to find the gene that is affecting it.
I'm horrible at genes. I'm the one that says breed it. Breed it and see what happens.
I agree.
Keep track of who's the parents, who's in the backgrounds, who's in the backgrounds of that. Because that's how you track down who carries it.
Bitter chocolate right here.
Yeah. No.
Yes.
That's freezer meat, not bitter chocolate. Freezer meat.
I agree. It's freezer meat. This is the bitter chocolate line.
Oh, Rune, what are you asking? What are those?
What are those? The breed you were talking about earlier.
Oh, the St. Huberts. So there's 3 de-argent breeds. The St. Hubert's the newest. There's 3. Original is the champagnes.
Yep.
Second one was the creams. The creams are orange based.
Yep.
Your champagnes are your black based. Your creams are orange based, and your St. Hubert's are chocolate based.
Your Bruns are the chocolate based.
The Bruns, those are the chocolate based. I don't. The St. Hubert's are. They're just weird. If you don't know them, look them up, and then come back to me.
Yep.
There's something off that I'm not 100% on.
Oh, have you seen the Hollisters yet?
The blue Hollisters? It's Hollisters.
Hollister.
There's no T. There's no T. Hollister.
I will fight you. Hollister. Have you seen that? Have you met them in person yet?
I have. I, for a split second, owned a trio.
Oh my God. You what? And you got rid of them?
For a split second.
No, and you don't.
Yes. I made all my money back off of them. I didn't care.
They are so cute. Their faces. So I got to meet one.
So it was before. So they were on their second presentation.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, oh, I love this breed. And then I'm like, they're still in development, and I don't know when they're gonna pass. And then right after I sold them again, then the Frosties passed, and I'm like, all right, the Blues are gonna pass now because the Frosties passed.
Yep.
But I'm telling you what, I handled some at convention this year. If I could, I would. But because now they're a new breed, everybody wants them. Guess what? Those ones that I bought for $75 for a trio are now $200 a piece.
Jesus fuck.
Yep. $200 a piece. That's what
we have. So we have breeders in our area. They raise the Frosties and they breed the Hollisers. And I've got to handle both breeds. I don't like the Frosties.
I like the Frosties color.
I love the color. Temperament, I hate the temperament.
I haven't met a bad one though yet.
They're too standoffish, which it's funny coming from me, but especially when I raise champagnes. The Frosties are too standoffish for me.
See, I like a rabbit that's more standoffish because they're going to be more showy. They're going to be those more showy rabbits. And that's what you want.
Take it.
No, I don't like it.
That's standoffish.
I've got a barn full of standoffish ones.
But this one is fun because it has a mask.
Yeah, mine are fun because they have a mane. And they go
It sells feet pics. They sell feet pics.
Mine go raw.
Mine don't require extra grooming.
Mine don't either. I just have to when I go to shows.
Liar.
I don't groom. I don't groom unless they're going to a show.
Okay, but I don't have to groom this at all.
No, but you can't show yours until they're molted into their silver.
That is not true. I could put this on a table, and a judge that knows a silver gene doesn't care. They just look at the type.
Yeah. Mine are ready to hit the table at 13 weeks. And they look like they're going to look forever.
And true. Mine, you have to get past the intermediate.
I only have 0 to 6 months and 6 months and older. I don't have that stupid intermediate class.
Intermediate is my favorite class. How dare you?
No.
Yes.
No, yes. That's the class for the ugly teenagers.
I was an ugly teenager, so therefore...
So was I. That's why I hate it.
Then you should love it because you were... Look, I was a drama kid, so therefore I can love the 8-9 group.
I was the country bumpkin in a city school. I was the one that walked into middle school and into high school with cowboy boots on, a hat, a belt. And everybody's like, oh, look at that kid. Oh, look at that kid. And then I'm like, yeah, I was out hunting this morning. And they're like, what? You're killing animals? No, I don't kill them. I eat them.
See, I grew up in a school where you would have rifles in the back of trucks on school property. And the rule was you keep your rifle in the truck and they'd be on racks, right? And then the boys after school would be like, okay, let's go hunt.
Yeah, see, I didn't have the guns in the back rack of the window because I was kind of frowned upon in a city school. But I did have the 4-wheel drive with mud tires, and everybody knew where I parked because there was always a mud ring around my truck.
Oh, you're going to giggle at this, right? My parents wouldn't let me get a pickup truck because they were afraid I would hitch the horse trailer up and run away forever. Guess what my first vehicle was?
I'm going to say something close to what my first vehicle was. My first vehicle was a 91 Honda Civic.
All right, you ready for this? 2003 orange PT Dream Cruiser.
No, that's even worse. I wouldn't even admit that. I wouldn't have even admitted that.
I picked it specifically.
Mine was my 16th birthday present from my parents. I didn't even get to pick it. They gave it to me, said, here you go. I owned it for 6 months before I bought my own truck. 6 months I drove
Jeez.
that car and I treated it like a truck. I took it off-roading everywhere. I ripped the exhaust off. It went everywhere.
My
And
parents
then my
didn't
dad
know that.
instantly regretted it. And then I turned around and bought a truck, and he's like, that probably would have been a better option for you.
So my parents didn't know that you can convert the cruisers to have a bump pull.
Yeah.
So I still got what I wanted.
Blessed with Pets says, I think I'm going to give up on my tricolors and otters and narrow down to my blues and blacks, both solid and broken. Very few chestnuts and my boos on a small scale. Blessed with Pets, I'm going to ask you to reconsider on your chestnuts. Those are agoutis, and they are hard. Hard.
Mm-hmm.
Especially
and this
for
is
beginners.
and this is coming from someone who I've raised rabbits since high school, and my first breed was casters, so your chestnuts. And I have raised, even as an adult who I have had years and years in it. Your casters are a loveless breed in that I have never gone past variety for a win just because they are so difficult.
If you want to win breed, it's going to be
Roos.
It's going to be roux or black.
Yep.
Roux or black.
Yep.
I've seen otters win, but they are phenomenal, and they are hard to touch.
And not only are they phenomenal, they're crisp.
But if you're going to narrow it down, please consider not doing chestnuts. Please, I know you don't want to, but give up on your boos for a little while.
Yes.
Focus on building your house before you worry about your colors, please.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking for your easiest, go black. Go blacks and broken blacks.
Go blacks. And you can get fun colors out of the blacks.
It depends on what they carry. What they carry.
Exactly.
If you're coming from a black background, you're just going to get blacks. And
yes.
If you add your broken blacks in, you're going to get your broken blacks. You are going to get your tries. You're going to get pop-up tries in your broken program. You're going to. Now, I recommend holding on to those tries because those are going to be your true tries. Those are going to be the ones that are going to produce true tries. You're not going to need your Harlequins. You're not going to need your Brindles to try to produce them. They are a true broken try. Blues, I don't recommend doing blues because they are dilute, and dilutes are hard because they're not a solid color from the tip to the bottom of the shaft. You have to have a dove undercolor, and it can be tricky on those blues because they can lose that very easily.
Not only that, but depending on the breed, like especially like not necessarily the Rex, because I've never really competed with blues on the Rex, but the silver foxes, there's a huge difference between a nice pigmented blue and what wins as a blue in the COD competitive area compared to a very low, like dull blue, if that makes sense. And there's a huge difference in color.
Yeah. And dilutes are a multiple year endeavor. You wait until you've been in the breed for several years. You're down pat on your genetics, your conformation. You're producing consistent, and that's key. Consistent genetics.
Yep.
Because I can take the best rabbits in my barn and breed them together, and if it's not a line that I've crossed before, it's not going to give me consistent.
And something to consider, Blessed with Pets, because I know your background, you don't hard cull. And if you don't hard cull, doing something like boos, doing something like dilutes, especially with mini Rex, when we're looking at the double dwarf gene, is going to be difficult.
Yes, I recommend staying with your otters. Otters are good. Otters are no problem because a tan pattern, it's hard to screw up a tan pattern. Until you get into mixing your silver martins in with your otters, and then you get silver ticked otters, that can be a problem. But that if you get pure otters, you're not going to have that problem. I wouldn't do your dilutes. Your tricolors, don't try to breed for tricolors.
Careful.
One, don't try to breed for them. You're going to get them in your blacks and broken blacks. Don't try to breed for them. If they happen, retain them if they're good. If they're good, retain them, because they can be an asset in the future. But don't go with your dilutes. Stay away from your dilutes for a couple of years at least. Your boos are more for the experts, the ones that have dialed it in to where they're bored with what they're doing, so they want something extra, so they go into the boos. And then your brokens, honestly, I love brokens. I love my brokens, but brokens can be a challenge because of your percentages that they have to be covered. You have to have certain markings. So you got to watch on that. There was one that was posted, what was it, last night or today? One of the two. They posted a broken black otter junior, and it's a beautiful rabbit. And the only fault that I could find that I prefer not to see, and this is just my preference. I'm not a judge. I'm not a professional breeder in mini Rexes, and this is just my preference from prior. It was very frosted around the black. I like this right here, this frosting around the black. I like a nice crisp color definition. You can have spots of white in the color, but when it's frosted around the edge, it's not a clean look. Judges look for clean.
Here, I'll show the more sparsely, the spot pattern compared to the blanket pattern. So if we look at the spot pattern, it has a more frosty look to it within the body. Compared to the saddle color, it's cleaner. So this cleaner color is going to do better on a show table compared to the spot pattern that's more frosty.
And with a spot pattern, you can get a spot pattern that looks
that
like
is clean
coloration that's clean.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And you have to be prepared to call for that. If that's what you're looking for, you have to be prepared to call.
You're also forgetting the thing that you and I have talked about, and I'm flipping them around, and you'll see it as soon as I show faces.
Yes. So see, the one on the left has just a little spot on the nose. Well, it'd be your right. It's opposite for us. So the one on the right has a little spot on its nose, and then the one on the left has a full butterfly. Now, when I started in mini Rexes, full butterflies were required. There were no exceptions. Full butterflies.
It changed the same time they did percentages. Because it used to be the percentage.
They changed the percentages. They changed the percentages too. The percentage used to be no less than 10, no more than 60. Now it's no less than 10, no more than 50.
Nope. No. The new SOP is in the spirit of a broken. It's no longer doing percentage.
You want me to?
I have my book out. The new book that came out in 2020, whatever, it changed it no longer does percentages.
The 21 to 25?
But you're forgetting the extension. The paper that comes in front of the SOP.
All right, mini Rexes.
It's not in the Okay, Travis. Yeah, it's not in the SOP itself. It's an extension. It's a paper in and of itself. Like, it's the paper they tape to the front of the SOP to be reviewed after.
When I got my SOP, I didn't get that.
You didn't?
Nope.
Oh.
That's why I'm referring to this, because not everybody's going to get it. Not everybody's going to get it.
Okay.
So, I will go here. Right here. Focus.
10%, I see it.
10% up to 50%.
Okay.
And then also, right here, it talks about the butterfly.
The butterfly is still the same. The difference now is it's no longer doing percentages.
To here, it says no preference given for butterfly over evenly balanced nose spot. So
Yes.
It says all broken pattern animals are to have a balanced nose marking. And that's where I was wrong in the Facebook group this morning. And I corrected myself. I corrected myself because I did go back and read the SOP, because I stated that it had to have a butterfly and it was a DQ because it didn't have a butterfly.
We're still giving you a half Hitler stash.
Can we go Ron Jeremy?
Okay, fine.
But no, that's where I was wrong, because it's been since 2015-ish since I read about Minirexes.
Yeah.
So that's where I was wrong on that. It needs to be a balanced nose marking. So that one with the little spot right here on the nose, that's not a balance. 50% of the nose or even on both sides. So that is not balance. That's a spot.
I agree. It is a spot and it's not balanced. I agree.
The other one is a full butterfly.
Yes.
But balance, and this is where I think this is where you're going to see judges that are going to be mixed. I consider balance 50% nose marking or the same spot on both sides.
Yes. And I will say, when I have shown broken Minirex, if we're getting down to the real nitty gritty on the broken group, it can come down to how balanced the nose spot is.
Also, for Blessed with Pets, if you are going to work with brokens, look at this right here. It says an eye marking, a colored eye marking at each eye. Both eyes have to have a color marking.
I got it.
That's not the color. That's not the color of the eye. That is the pattern around the eye.
This right here.
They have to have something like that on both sides. And that says has to have color on both ears. Both ears have to be colored. You cannot have a white ear and a black ear. A white ear and a black ear, that resembles more of your Harlequin, your magpies. That's more of a Harlequin deal.
Not to mention, when you're looking at brokens, right? A lot of breeders, and I'm not saying they're ethical or not, will use a broken gene to disguise Vienna marks, white-eared genes, and Dutch genes.
Yes.
And you'll see it in the brokens.
The next point for Blessed with Pets with brokens, the body color is to be evenly distributed in a spotted, a patched, or blanket pattern. Preference is to be given to an evenly balanced pattern. So, see this buck? This is a spotted buck. He has an evenly balanced pattern. He looks more like an English spot. He's got the spine spots, and then he has even patches on both sides. So that is an even spotted pattern. And then the last thing to note is the feet below the ankle joints are to be pure white. No color past his ankles. That's a disqualification. No color past his ankles. And the reason why they put on here the coloration 50% or more, 50% or more promotes booted animals.
We are not England.
They're cute, and they're more likely to be a VM than a broken.
Yes, or a Dutch.
Yeah, forget the Dutch.
Oh, Travis, you're going to make people cry. You're lucky Andrea's not on here.
I don't like patterned animals. You will never.
We can agree.
Never catch a patterned animal in my barn.
No. You don't understand. I was talking to Cara 2 shows ago, right? And I was showing her my silver foxes, and we were talking. I'm like, yeah, I feel like this animal isn't patterned enough. She goes, the silver gene is almost a patterned gene. And I was this close to wanting to slap her and be like, do not speak that blasphemy upon my silver foxes. And she's like, well, silvering genes are almost like a pattern gene in the way they exhibit the 1, 2, or 3 off of the SI gene. And it's like, stop talking. I do not raise pattern breeds.
Rune, you can keep those Flemish giants, by the way. I don't have space nor the back power to carry around all them dang rabbits all the time.
Oh, but they're gorgeous.
Thank you. I'll stick with the
They're
ones
so
that I can put
big.
5 rabbits in the same cage space.
I agree. I love Flemish. Every time I have handled a Flemish helping out judges, they are fantastic. They are beautiful. They are so well behaved. I don't have the space nor the, like you said, the arm and back power.
Rune, what would a broken lion head even look like? Freezer. That's what it looks like. They are not even they're not supposed to be worked with right yet. Because we are trying to pass all of our colors before we pass brokens.
Ooh, that sounds like a challenge to get under your skin.
Listen, there are some breeders out there that have side projects, and brokens are in it, but zero have ever even made it to an exhibition show because of the fact that we want to get our colors passed before we get our brokens.
I get it, especially since the Silver Fox Club definitely vetoed a certain thing I have in my carriers right now.
And then Rune also asked how hard are torts to perfect. Torts are one of your easiest varieties to perfect. They're just like blacks. You want something that's a good go-to for a beginner? Torts and blacks.
The biggest thing I've seen with torts, and this might just be the area, I've seen a lot of people that try to hide Vienna under a tort, so you need to watch for mismatched toenails.
So if you are getting VMs or VCs in torts, call that line. Call it all. Because
Agreed.
You'll never get rid of it.
Agreed. I agree.
But torts, the hardest part of torts, and I will say this 100% because I work with nothing but torts. The hardest thing is point color. Your point color, watching that you don't breed too light of point color to too light a point color because you'll lighten it up even more. And with the lilac torts, that's our biggest problem right now. We're lacking that color in our points.
With your point color, as somebody who raised Californians, if you throw babies in the freezer for funsies, will it darken their points?
Nope. It's all genetic.
Okay. I was just wondering because
listen, I raised Californians too, and the colder you kept them, the darker the points.
I used to put babies in the freezer for fun.
It's not that way with torts.
Okay.
Let's see. Blessed with Pets says something here. Let's see. I'm having to watch this delayed, but so far I trust y'all, but y'all pretty much told me not to breed anything I have. No.
That's not true.
Breed. Hey. Breed your blacks and your brokens and your otters. You can breed your blacks and your otters together. You can breed your blacks and your otters together. That's not a problem.
I do that. I do that all the time.
I did it for 14 years. I bred my torts and my otters, or not my torts, my otters and my self blacks together.
Yes, I do it all the time.
And you can breed your otters to your dilutes too. That's how they got chocolate otters and lilac otters and blue otters. They don't naturally happen. You have to breed a dilute in. So that's why they are safe to breed. Yourselves and your tans and your otters, or yourselves, your tans, and your torts are okay to breed together.
Yes.
Those three varieties are okay to breed together. Don't breed your agoutis in. It creates bad problems. Don't breed Boo in. And use Rue to your advantage because it's a whiteout tool.
I don't think she has Ruse. She just has Boos. The biggest thing that Blessed with Pets faces is she doesn't hard call.
Yeah,
and
hard calling.
She has,
listen, two things I live by in my barn. breed hard, call harder.
Yes, I agree.
You'll never better yourself if you're not culling, because you want to keep everything. Then you get barn blind on what looks good and what doesn't look good.
And the thing is like me, right? And, Travis is going to pick on me all day. I keep things that should be hard culled because I have room. But if I had no room, I would be culling even harder because I am willing to eat things I don't like. Like, let's say my husband said, hey, we can no longer afford $50 a week to feed our rabbits, and we need to go down to $25 per week, which is a single bag. There would be a lot of things disappearing in my barn. But I get the privilege.
Torch to otters, you are correct on that. But you can breed yourselves that come out of otters, you can breed those to torques.
Yes.
Because they carry that self gene that you need to darken up your torques.
Yes. Just bless with pets, if you're listening to this, never breed shaded into your boos.
Never breed shaded into torques. Never breed shaded into your tans.
Yes.
Never breed shaded into roos. And try to keep your shadeds away from yourselves. Shadeds
basically should only be bred to shadeds.
Shadeds are your they're just like your boos. They need to be their own thing.
They do.
Because you start getting your self colors will start influencing your shadeds. And then you get these off looking, dirty, shaded rabbits that the judge is sitting there like, it looks like what it's supposed to look like, but something's not right.
And the thing is, and you'll see smut. That's what you're going to hear on the show table is smut. Smutty oranges are a huge thing right now in our area for lot breeds.
I think that's what Rune meant when she said your otters and if you breed your torch to your otters together, they create smutty look.
Yeah.
They do, but they don't.
Mm-hmm.
If you breed yourselves to your otters and yourselves to your tans and yourselves to your torts, and even if yourselves carry either one, if you do get the pop-up opposite in the litter, just call it.
And the thing is, depending on the size of your barn, if I have a large amount of rabbits in my barn, I do nest box calls for things.
Yes.
In that,
I will let them
box.
get to that. I'll let them get to that just under a week. When they're furred up enough to where you can tell what color they are, that's when I'll do my first round of calls. If it's a color that I'm not looking for, like when I do my I've got a line out here that's got shaded.
Yep.
It's a line of torts that's some dummy that wanted just to breed rabbits, bred shaded in.
Yep.
I bred them to a roo. When this roo has the litter, if any shaded babies pop up, they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
Because at that point, that ends that genetic cycle.
Yes.
As soon as you introduce roo into a shaded, you end that genetic cycle. So you call out those shaded. Now you have true torts. So if I have a litter of 4, and out of my roo doe that I have a tort buck that carries shaded, if I breed them together and I have 4 babies, 2 of them come out shaded, 2 of them come out tort, these 2 are gone. Now these 2 are pure tort. These 2 cannot carry shaded anymore. So that's where you clean up your genetics. That's what, when I say cleaning up your genetics with a roo, that's what I'm meaning. You call out those 2 shaded. Now you have 2 pure torts. You cannot, it will not carry shaded any further than that.
And beyond what we're talking about with that, Rune, with your silver foxes, things I call out as a nest box call in silver foxes, milk spots. So the white stripe on the forehead, the white stripe on the nose, that is culled out in our barn. Because in most instances, if I have a litter of 13 to 14 and I have 2 that have the milk spot, most of the time that doesn't shed out appropriately with your show lines, and it's going to be a DQ, not something you want to continue on with your lines, especially if you have a lot of breeders.
Blessed with Pets is saying that her otters carry tort and they're coming out foxes. My biggest thing is if you're trying to go for tort, breed to tort. If you're trying to go to otter, breed to otter.
Put it in the
It's going to take you a couple genetic cycles to get to it, but you can cancel that out. You can cancel out that fox. It's not like shaded. It's not like your boo to where it holds on to genetics forever.
But also remember, I know I'm going to keep repeating this over and over and over. Blessed with Pets is not to the point where she's hard culling. And that is a difficult standard to achieve when it comes to culling if you're soft culling.
Yes.
Ouch.
So if you're soft culling, and this is just this is me trying to help you out. Soft culling is going to get you to a dead end because you're going to saturate your pet market to the point where you can't sell anything anymore. You are going to oversaturate your market if you're breeding and breeding and breeding. And this is where the little Achilles heel in me is going to fire up, and I'm going to call you out every time when I see you selling poor quality animals at trying to get premium price out of them and flooding the market with the animals that we're trying to represent as good animals. Mm-hmm. I have so many 4-H kids come to me every year with the animal that they bought off of so-and-so that told them that it was a good rabbit, or it was this, or it was that. And I get them, and I have to break their little hearts and say, listen, this isn't an accepted variety, or this isn't a show quality, and this is what you're actually looking for. Then I have to be the bad guy that says, you can't really, you could keep this rabbit if you want it as a pet, but to show, you need to purchase something better.
Yep. And I will say, as somebody who I do a lot of fixing, and this is one of my Achilles heels, the amount of times I, as a breeder, have given show quality animals to 4-H kids who have spent their hard-earned money, because a lot of times mom and dad aren't helping out because this is their thing. I have given free animals to fix other breeders who are selling shit.
Mine is I'm fixing. Mom and dad don't want to spend a lot of money, so they go find so-and-so who's selling them for $30 or $40.
Yep.
So-and-so wants to be in 4-H, so mom and dad found this really good deal. Mm-hmm. And then here's me saying, hey, your really good deal was a waste of money.
Yep.
And then I'm the one that's like, well, then they ask me, well, how much are you selling yours for? And I'm like, you might as well double that price. And that's the start. I'm going to sell you a good 4-H quality, not ARBA standard quality, but a 4-H quality, because 99% of county fairs don't show by ARBA standard.
I agree.
But I also want them to be able to go to an ARBA show. They're not going to place high, but they're not going to get thrown off the table.
Exactly.
Oh, what do we got? People are popping in here. Let's see. Blessed with Pets. We talked about the otters throwing foxes. Rune says CCHD is shaded, right? I'm pretty sure that that's correct. But again, I don't use the letters. I breed. I don't use the letters. I'm old fashioned.
And you can keep the C line away from me. When it comes to C line, I can argue CH high versus CH low, or darker light rather. Other than darker light and albino, catch me outside. I'm not good with shaded.
And then Rune says something about makes sense, Maddie. I don't know what that was towards. Blessed with Pets. I don't want torts or otters. I want to do boos. My boos are the best type rabbits I have.
Your boos are not the best typed rabbits you have, Blessed with Pets. I can get, unless you got something new since you've sent me photos, Your boos are not the best typed you have, guaranteed. Last time you sent me things, your other animals were way better than your boos. And then also, you don't have the room for a boo project, sweetheart. You don't have the room.
Blessed with Pets, your boos are an advanced. I'm sorry, they are an advanced project. And I'm not going to judge because I started out somewhere too. I started out, my very first rabbit was a red mini Rex, a broken red, and it was 75% colored. They called it a booted red, and I had to breed it to a broken red she was like 5% colored, just to narrow that coloration down. And then once I did that, I actually ended up selling the red project out and went to blacks because the reds were just the reds are another one of those colors that are hard. They're hard because they have a certain pigment that they have to be. And if they're not that deep, rich red, you're not going to compete against the red. So safest bet is blacks.
I just saw she just commented she's just doing Holland Lops now. If you're doing Holland Lops, I can guarantee your crowns on your boos are not going to compare to the crowns on any of the other animals you're raising. The crowns on the Hollands are such a hard thing to get, and boo Hollands do not have the crown and the shape that you're going to want to breed something. And that's coming from somebody who I hate Hollands. I hate Holland Lops.
I hate lops. I hate anything with a lay down ear.
I agree.
Number one biggest problem you're going to have with any lop, those crowns are fragile. Crowns are fragile. You grab your rabbit by the ears wrong one time and you go to flip them and you broke your crown and it'll never come back. Never comes back.
I hate Hollands.
You'll have one that their ear sags down lower than the other one. And then you just took your junior buck that was going to be your best in your litter and you made it unshowable because you flipped it over wrong. That's the only number one reason. That's the only number one reason that I hate lops personally. They're great rabbits. The Holland Lops are gentle. They're gentle little frickin' things.
They're gentle okay, so I'm guessing you're not in a backyard breeder situation. A lot of the Hollands I have up here, the amount of hearts I've had to break with 4-H kids on Holland Lops for ear carriage, crown carriage, and coloration. We have a lot of backyard bred off standard Hollands. Drives me nuts. The Hollands up here are trash.
Oh, see, here, the Hollands here are probably the number one breed that is bred in the state. It is the highest amount below, or it's above mini Rexes when you go to a show.
When is Rabbit Mecca? When has Rabbit Mecca ever been anything above mini Rex?
Listen, the Hollands around here the last time I went to a show or paid attention at a show to anything other than lion heads, I think there was close to 200 mini Rex and there was like almost 400 Holland Lops.
Okay, I've been away from Ohio now for 7 years. So, fight me on this. But last time I was there, it was mini Rex. Just pure mini Rex.
Mini Rex is still up there. But the Hollands have passed them and the Jersey Woolies are creeping.
Maybe I need to move back to Ohio just to fight people.
And also at the show that we were at a couple weeks ago, there was 57 lion heads in open.
That's not bad. That's not bad at all.
No.
You want to hear?
Seeing how at convention there was only 300 and some lion heads in open.
No,
and we put on a show and there was 57 at just a regular show.
All right, the last show I was at, right? Guess what the top breed was?
I'm going to say Mini Rex.
Nope.
I don't. Past Mini Rex, I don't even know anymore.
I'll tell you, the last, and this is a couple of our people's fault. Silver Foxes.
I mean, I could see that. You guys are trying to make a comeback. You guys are trying to make a staple because
But also,
they are on one of those repressed breeds. They are on that. You don't see them hardly anymore. I will tell you this. I was at a show a month ago, and you'll never believe it, but there was 35 Americans at this show.
Like American blue and whites?
Yes. And they were all blues. There was one white that showed up.
Say that again, because I don't think I heard you correctly. What?
Yeah. Yeah, 35 Americans. It was between 3 breeders, but
you know, a lot of us who have rare heritage breeds, though, we all get together and play the pissing game to play, okay, who's going to have more?
See, we don't do that here with the lion heads. We have a core group of us, and we get a hold of each other and we say, hey, we're going to this show. We need enough here for them to sanction it. And we go, okay, well, how many do you need? And then we're like, okay, now, how many people do we have going and how many rabbits do I need to send to get legs?
Yes, we do that too with the Silver Foxes.
So at the last show, I sent 15.
Yep.
Just so we had enough that we only needed like 2 other people to bring 1 per person to get legs. And then we ended up with 50-something at the show.
Which, that's what we do with the Silver Foxes.
They're all like, you can thank Travis for that one. I said, I've only got like a quarter of the amount here. There was like, I think there was 10 breeders that showed up, and I had a quarter of the rabbits that showed up.
Jesus. No,
I took 15. I took 15, and I've got 25 in my barn.
Jesus. No, you know what I've noticed recently, and this is like a personal gripe I have. Have you noticed entries for shows have nearly doubled in the past 5 years?
When I started showing, you know how much it was to enter a rabbit? It was $2. $1 for fur, $2 for the class.
Yep.
I pay $4 per rabbit now to show. I don't show in fur because I'm not paying that extra dollar.
Now it's $5 a class.
We had a specialty show, and it was $5 a rabbit for the specialty show, $4 for the all breed shows.
I know. It hurts. Because it used to be $2 to $3.
Listen, I don't want to hear about it until you start taking over 10 rabbits to a show. That's when you're like, that 3-hour drive, I'm really not considering that now.
Okay. No. You don't understand. I would be, except for my husband looks at my show tickets and he's like, why are you spending $100 at show? And I'm like, oh, you don't even understand. I'm not even taking the amount that most of these breeders are taking. Like Lane Bob, I love Lane. I love Sean Bob, right? They're taking 50 rabbits a show. Who can afford that?
Yep.
And I love them.
But how many 50. Of them are they showing, and how many of them are there to sell?
None. They might sell 1 to 2 rabbits a show. That's how I got Strawberry. I showed up and they were selling 1 rabbit.
Because you Mini Rex people are freaking loco.
We are.
And now I'm sitting here with the lion heads, and I'm just taking homegrowns now. And I took 15 rabbits, and I only had 3 that weren't homegrowns.
Yep.
Because I'm trying to keep myself from getting barn blind by thinking my rabbits are getting better, and I take them and put them on a table and they say, no, you're lacking this, you're lacking that, you're lacking this. Or I know what they're lacking and I just want a second opinion before
Well, that's what I agree. Like with my Champagne d'Argents, you want to know how many breeders in Colorado breed Champagne d'Argents?
You're probably like one of 5? No, there's no way you're the only one.
I have one breeder that just got into it this year.
And let me guess, you sold them the rabbits that they got.
You darn tootin'.
So now you guys don't even have a diverse gene pool.
Well, my rabbits are from New York.
It don't matter where your rabbits are from, because guess
The
what?
other breeder. You want to know where the other breeder's from that I go challenge in my shows? You want to know where they're from?
Probably out of state.
You're right, Wyoming.
Yeah, because that's why I don't like going like that, like what you're at, because the gene pool isn't big enough.
It isn't, because you know where I get my breeding stock from?
Probably the same people over and over.
Nope. Take a guess.
You coming back home for your breeding stock?
You bettin' I do. Yeah, I come back to Ohio.
Because the Champagnes are still big in Ohio.
The Mecca. I come back to Rabbit Mecca for silver foxes. I come back for my mini Rex. I come back for my Champagne d'Argents. Every single.
Back for lion heads.
You want to know? Hey, Sydney, you remember the big poofy rabbits I showed you? Yeah, that's the guy who breeds your big poofy rabbits.
They're not big. They're the size of a Holland Lop. They're not big.
They look huge with the fluff.
Majestic.
That's the guy who's breeding the fluffy rabbits I said I'd get you.
Majestic.
Yeah, the bunny fluffies. When you don't have French fry and GG, you can get a bunny fluffy. Do not eat your pets.
Listen, and you can also have the only breed with 2 types of fur.
You keep putting that up as a pro, and that would be fine if it was any other fur type other than wool.
How are you going to mix flyback and rollback? Or Rex and rollback and Rex and flyback? Or hell, now they've got a new one. The slow rollback.
Explain this to me.
Czech Frosties and Blue Hollisters are slow rollback.
Slow rollback?
So they're
getting my judging license gets harder and harder with each day.
So when you go backwards over the shaft, it's supposed to like roll back. Flyback goes, rollback goes at a slower pace. This one is in between Rex and rollback. So it goes back, but it's slow. Wow. So it's supposed to stand up with a gradual fall.
So what you're saying is tomorrow when I'm at show, I need to find my Hollister breeder and tackle one of the rabbits to see what their fur type is like.
Yes, and I would also educate yourself on the upright cylindrical, because they're the second breed that is an upright cylindrical.
Yes, cylindricals in general. I have been sitting for the past 3 shows trying to figure those breeds out, because eventually
there's only one breed that's a cylindrical.
The Himalayans.
They're the only one. And you want to know something funny? I was talking to a breeder, and I said, how do you get them to pose so well? And they said, you want to watch? And I said, sure. They took it, stretched out, and rolled it like a rolling pin across the table, and then set it back down. And it literally sat there like a rolling pin.
I know! It's hilarious! Because I asked the same thing.
And they were like, rolled it across the table.
I know, because I asked the same thing.
I said, now, when it goes to get back up, is it going to be able to walk a straight line? Or is it going to start doing a circle? Because it just got dizzy. But no, the Czech Frosties and the Blue Hollisters are the 2 breeds now that are the upright cylindrical.
Which makes explained that in my live on
Facebook. I explained it on the live in my Facebook live about I touched on it a little bit. Mm-hmm. They're that bulldog look up front.
Yep, it's like a
strong, bold front legs.
Yep,
their face points straight out with a higher headset. Their ears are vertical, and then their body slopes in a cylinder away from the front shoulders in the same width. They maintain width from the front shoulders to the hindquarter.
And the last show I was at with the Hollisters, the judges were pulling straws to see who could judge that, because they have never touched it before, and they were all fighting because they wanted to judge it.
Yes.
Like, they had the papers printed out because they saw that the breed was coming to show, and all of them were so excited they were ready to fight each other to judge that thing.
Last year on our first show after convention, after Czech Frosties passed, it was the first Ohio show to have Czech Frosties at it. There were 5 judges that judged that breed.
Yeah, because they want to get their hands on it.
They couldn't decide on one judge to judge, so they let 5 judges judge.
Well, the thing is I'm not sure if it gets this way in Ohio. Here in Colorado, they were literally like fisticuffs.
They don't get like that here. There's some breeders. There's some breeders are like, no, ain't touching that one. But then there's some breeders. They're like, yeah, that's my favorite rabbit.
Yeah.
But I will also say this: you will never see a judge judging their own breed.
Really?
Nope. This year at convention for Lionheads, one of our judges was actually one of the original founding women of the Lionheads. And the only reason she got to judge them this year was because she retired from the breed.
See, out here,
because the judges are not allowed to touch their own animals.
See, out here, we'll have judges where, and you'll watch them, because we had a judge who, well, it was like a year ago, who he was basically heckled off the table for he couldn't pose a compact worth shit. But you will have a breeder that specifically breeds silvers, silver foxes, champagnes, judging those breeds. Or you will specifically have a mini Rex breeder judging mini Rex breeds out here.
See, I'm fairly certain, and I could be wrong, I've been wrong before, but I'm fairly certain in the ARBA judges packet to becoming a judge is part of that thing that you're not allowed to judge your own animals in a show.
I'll ask Steph and I'll get back to you on that, because she has her judging license and she'll be able to answer that for me.
Because how would it be fair if you go up to a table with your mini Rex?
Well, of course you're not judging your own animal. Like, none of the judges, like, if we have a judge that is entering their own animals, they don't touch their own animals. But they'll breed
they don't carry them up to the table. Usually there's somebody that brings them up to the table. But they know their animals. When they open up that ear and they look at that tattoo number, or they grab that rabbit out, listen.
Well, no, they'll never judge their own animal. So if we have like A, B, and C, right? And this judge is judging show A, they will never have their own animal in show A. So the other judges that are judging B and C will take their animals, but they're still judging mini Rex in general.
Rune says I take it the Frosties have what would be seen as poor silver fox coat. No. It is a white, like a cream white, not a white.
Yes.
A cream white.
It has nothing of the silver gene.
With a ticking.
Yes, it's not the silver gene. It's not the SI.
It's ticking. And ticking is seen in your tans.
Yes. But it's a completely different gene than what you see in silver foxes.
And then Jay Englert says they don't hold their upright cylindrical pose, though. If you see a Frosty or a Blue Hollister at a show and it's not holding that pose, then it's not a strong quality.
Yeah.
They are supposed to hold that pose.
And Rune, when you say they don't have the texture, or they have this texture of a silver fox, there's only one breed that has standing fur, and that is silver fox. The Frosties do not have that standing fur quality.
I'm going to argue with that.
Go for it.
A Rex fur is a standing fur.
But it's not a true standing fur from a double coat perspective. The Rex is
it's
all
not a
one
double
layer.
coat. It's not a double coat. It just has no guard hairs.
It doesn't.
Rexes are lacking the guard hair.
Yes, but it's completely different when we're looking at texture. So
Yeah.
Rune's talking about a texture perspective. When we're looking at a texture perspective with a standing fur, you're not going to find anything like the silver fox.
No. And the Frosties and the Blue Hollisters they have guard hairs, they have everything.
Yes.
It's just the texture of the fur is the same as what a normal rollback texture feels like.
Yes, and I have.
The rate of fall after moving the fur, the rate of fall is just slower.
Yes. Here, give me a second. I can I don't know if it'll read the same on camera as in person, but I have two different fur types here. So we have a standing fur versus a more rollback / flyback. So when you're pulling the animal's fur back, this one falls back. This one stands on end when you're looking at it in person. So
okay, I'm going to take a pause. I'm going to run out to the barn and I'm going to grab one of my junior bucks and I'm going to show the how the rollback is on a, because he's got like the spot on fur.
Perfect. So Rune, if you're looking at a silver fox, you pull their fur back, this guy is standing straight. So if you look at this perspective, I'm pulling it back, it's not moving. It's just standing straight up. So like if you look at his fur, how deep it is, it's just standing straight up. Compared to the champagne kit, it's rolling back. It doesn't stand up, and if you watch, it's coming back as you're pulling up. And it's kind of hard to see on camera. So, long fur standing straight compared to a fur that's coming back on itself. So, when you're talking about a texture, the silver fox fur is completely different in both length and how it stands on the body compared to something like the champagnes. The silver foxes are unique in that. Ugh. Here you go, Foxy Moxie. Foxy Moxie. Hey, baby girl. Oop. Now let me go through some comments, because... Hi, baby. Yeah, so the slow rollback is quite literally... So when you have a rollback fur and it kind of falls back, it's almost a standing, but still kind of like bloops. It doesn't have the quality. So when you stroke the fur back like this, on the silver foxes, it's always going to stand like this. On the Hollisters and the Frosties, it's like it kind of like falls back on itself slowly. And Travis is going to grab his animals for you to kind of look at and see. There he is. But yeah, so he's going to kind of give you an idea of what that looks like from a perspective to another. I just lost another needle. There it is. So, okay. And it's hard to see on camera compared to in person.
So this is my little prodigy. This is my buck that got 5th place junior buck home, and he's one of my homegrowns. So it's raining here, so obviously I just got him wet. But you can see, I don't know if it'll pick it up, but you can see the length of guard hair. So in a rollback, in a lion head, they want these long guard hairs because that long guard hair is what gives them that black ticking. And then you can see the rate of fall. This is a rollback. So
compared to a standing that just stands.
Yeah. See how it's this flicks back and it starts rolling back. On a New Zealand, like a New Zealand white, this would be, as soon as you let go, it will be right back down. So that's your difference between your flyback, rollback, and standing. Your flyback, as soon as you let go of that hair shaft, it's going to roll. It's going to go right back down in place.
Yep.
And then you got his beautiful...
You and your freaking wolves.
Yeah, but look at him.
He's cute, but so much grooming. Even if it's just for show. Too much.
No. You gotta love that.
Yes, I love to look at it. Just like I love to look at Angoras.
Also, now that I've got one up here, I can show you guys the when we were talking about torts and the coloring on their points. See that? So they have 4 points. They have 4 points that are supposed to be colored, and it's supposed to be the color that it's called: blue torts, chocolate torts, lilac torts, and black torts. This is a black tort, and they're 4 points: ears, owie, nose, feet, front and back, and tail, the top of the tail, wherever his is. So the tail has to be colored. So you have color here and here, color on his nose, and color in their ears. And that has to be the color that they're calling. And right now I'm struggling with my lilacs being too light. So what I'm doing is I'm breeding my lilac torts to my blue torts that carry chocolate, because that blue makes the lilac darker.
Could you still, and this is coming from a perspective of if I'm trying to get color within certain lines, what happens if you do it with blacks instead of blues?
As long as they carry the chocolate gene, it's okay.
Okay.
But if one parent doesn't carry chocolate and the other parent does carry chocolate, you'll never get your lilacs or your chocolates. You can get blues. You can get blues, but you can't get your lilacs and chocolates. So the black won't help your dilutes unless it carries a dilute.
Okay. So, and this is a question coming from a silver fox breeder that's breeding for lilacs. So what I do is I will breed a black to a lilac, right? Mm-hmm. And I will, that generation next, get a black as a chocolate lilac carrier because it carries the dilute and it carries the chocolate.
Okay, and so chocolate is dilute. You don't have, if it carries chocolate, it carries dilute.
Yes. But from a perspective of breeding, so you know how a lilac is a chocolate dilute?
Yeah.
Breeding that to a black that doesn't carry dilute, right?
So those offspring will be 25%. And then you have to breed it again to get your 50%.
Which is why
at that point is when you can start getting them.
Exactly. And that's what I do to improve, because you know how a lot of times when you have like your super dilute, so you have your blacks, blues, chocolates, and then your lilacs.
Yes.
When it comes to type. So I will take a lilac and I will take 3 generations of carriers in order to improve a lilac line, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So the way I just do it, like if I've got too light in my lilacs, I'll turn around and I'll go back to my blues. Okay. And I'll bring my blues back in. So I never breed lilac to lilac. I never breed lilac to lilac because it makes lilac lighter. Mm-hmm. So I will always breed a lilac tort to a chocolate tort or a blue tort. Yeah. Now I do have a black tort doe out there that carries chocolate. Mm-hmm. And she produces really dark babies. Okay. But the only reason she's in the program is because she carries chocolate. Okay. But this little dude, he only carries blue and black. He can't produce his dilutes. Yep. But his dad is the one that was my first grand champion in my barn. I bought it off of a girl. She put 1 junior leg off of him. And then I took him and he seniored.
I took him, got another leg on him. He went through a molt and molded back better than he was. And I turned around and put four more senior legs on him.
Okay.
So he is 2.5 and still earning senior legs.
Legit.
And then that blue tort buck that I had in my Facebook Live, that blue tort buck I haven't put on the table. He is 2 years old and he's never been on the table. He went on the table 2 weeks ago and got 3 legs.
Okay.
Because it was great. It was a triple show. So he granted himself in one show. One show.
Nice.
That's the one with the head that's like that freaking wide on.
Are you talking about the Elvis buck you showed me?
Yeah, that blue tort that is his head's wider than his entire body.
I love that buck. He is just so bucky in the face.
I'm finally getting that, and this is my first homegrown second. It would be my second out after that blue tort, but he's got that buck head on him.
See, that's the one thing I don't like about the champagnes, and it's kind of hard to look at, but how snipey their faces are.
Yeah, I don't like those narrow faces. I like
they're very snipey.
Face. And that's what draws me. That's what draws me to those blue Hollisers. That
they're so blocky. Yes.
Blessed with Pets wants to say, can you get lilac from breeding chocolate and blue since the blue is dilute?
It depends on what everything's carrying.
I'd have to see the pedigree, but yes, you will get lilacs from a chocolate and a blue. But it just depends on if the blue carries chocolate.
Exactly.
Because the blue doesn't always carry chocolate. You have to have the chocolate to get the lilac.
Yep.
Because to be honest with you, and this is from my understanding of being in rabbits, lilac is a diluted chocolate.
It is.
So lilac is lilac truly is chocolate. It's just a dove gray version of chocolate. So
the way it works is
you have to have double. I think it's double chocolate, isn't it?
The way it works is yes. So black is your most dominant all the way around. To get blue, you need the dilute of black. And if you're looking at the B line, the recessive of black is chocolate, right? And then in order to get lilac, you need the recessive of chocolate.
Yes.
So chocolate is the dilute. If you dilute chocolate, it's going to get lilac. So lilac is the most recessive of the base color lines.
Yes. So when you're talking about trying to breed your lilacs, that's why we say that is probably your hardest self that you're ever going to try to breed. Because it's so diluted that you have to have those dilutes. And when we say dilutes, we're meaning the double chocolate dilute. You have to have that to get your lilacs.
And not only that,
in my barn, I have 6 rabbits in my barn that are double chocolate.
And not only that, but most breeds, if you are getting down enough to lilac, there is not enough genetic diversity to work with lilacs if you are not an experienced breeder that can outcross to the more dominant colors.
Both outcrossing and line breeding. You got to watch your line breeding. Line breeding will get you what you want, but you get too close in your line breeding and it becomes inbreeding. Then you become problems. So,
okay, friend.
Your line breeding.
If it works, it's line breeding. If it doesn't work, it's inbreeding.
No, your line breeding does 2 things. 1, it locks in your prominent features that you're looking for.
Yep.
2, it locks in the features you don't want.
Yes, it does. It just locks things in. And if you know what you're looking for,
line breeding is your binder. Line breeding is your binder. Once you've outcrossed and you've gotten that perfect outcross, you start line breeding. Line breeding
binds it all together and holds it, then that truly 100% is your 100% genetic code of your own.
Yep.
Once you get to the point of line breeding, that is when you're producing 100% of your own genetics, genetics, not somebody else's genetics that you're bringing in and outcrossing. 100% locked in your genetics is line breeding.
Yes. And if you look at my barn, everything I'm breeding is running around a coefficient of inbreeding between 20 and 30%. So when it comes to a lot of breeders, I line breed a bit heavy on my lines because, like you said, it puts in specific traits that I want and I like in my lines. But line breeding is not for new breeders by any means. If you are not willing to hard cull, you should not be running coefficients as high as I do.
So line breeding, in my opinion, once you start line breeding, you're looking at a 75 to 85% cull rate.
Yep.
Because, and this is just because, you're going to see some screwed up animals when you're line breeding.
Oh, yeah.
But the animals that do make it past your cull are going to be phenomenal. Those are going to be your rabbits that you see on the best in show tables that you're going to see winning or getting second looks or honorable mentions on best in show tables. And if you bought that rabbit, or that rabbit comes from a pairing from another breeder that produces that, and you take that and show that, that's still their genetics that you're showing.
It is.
Yes, it's your homegrown because you made the pairing, but it's somebody else's genetics.
It is.
And that's why I strive. And right now I'm 2 years in on lion heads and I'm still outcrossing because I haven't found that perfect match. I haven't found the match that I'm ready to lock in yet.
And sometimes, especially when you're working with a lot of outcrossings, it takes a long time to find that perfect match and perfecting it. Because you can match a pair together and they'll produce something you like, but sometimes it takes 2 or 3 times to match it perfectly to get that animal that you put on the show table and you're like, oh yeah, this is something I want to set in my lines.
Yes. So going back through comments here, let's catch up here. Rune said, yes, that's nice broadhead. Yes, that's what I'm breeding for. I'm breeding for broadhead. I'm breeding for the
nice and blocky.
Clean separation. That's another thing I'll get to whenever I start getting into the lion head breed itself. Separation. That
separation you have, though, and a lot of people aren't seeing it because you're not talking about it. Your separation on your saddle compared to your wool is beautiful.
So, when I talk about separation, and I'll just briefly touch on this because it's going to be its own video. Separation. Look at this rabbit. See where its mane is? See where its skirts are? This right here is separation. This is supposed to be 100% clean on a senior. And in a junior, you have to see a start. So when the judge picks it up, the judge is going to go like this. He's going to pick it up like this, and they're going to go like this, and they're going to flex it, and they're going to bend it, and they're going to blow into it. They're looking for a start of a separation between the furs from here to here. That separation. It's going to follow the front limb. It's going to follow the front limb all the way up into the back. Second separation that you're going to see is the saddle. This saddle has to be clean on a senior. On a junior, you can have just a small patch, but it has to be started. Senior, it has to be all the way down the back to right above the base of the tail. But that's all I'm going to touch on the separation for now, because that deserves its own breed Spotlight, because that is the only breed that you have to even worry about that. But that is why I am challenging myself after 20 years of being in rabbits. I'm like, why not deal with something that has 2 furs to worry about?
You deal with the fur types, I'll deal with the color changing.
But those are 2 of the things that I'm working on locking in my genetics, is the broad head and that clean separation as juniors. Right now, the breed is flooded with rabbits that aren't clearing until they're after 6 months. My line's clear at 14 weeks. And I'm bringing in breeders that have 6-8 months and they're still not broke. So I'm bringing them to my ones that clear really fast so that I can bring that time frame down.
Now, with you not having an intermediate age, do you see, you were talking about the breaks, and I know you said you're not going to talk about it, but I'm going to force you a little bit. Those breaks happen by 6 months then between your juniors?
They have to be completely cleared at 6 months.
6 months. Okay.
It is in the standard. In the standard, they have to have a clear break at 6 months of age.
Okay.
Next one, Blessed with Pets has a couple here. So where I'm at is I think I'm gonna sell my otter doe, my chestnut, my tri, and my magpie buck. Blessed with Pets, tell me why you're wanting to sell your otter doe, because honestly, I don't get your logistics on selling your otter, because otters are easy. Otters are very easy. It's an easy variety to take care of. And then if Blessed with Pets says, if I breed my chocolate to a blue and kept a kit and bred it to chocolate, there's a possibility of a lilac. No, not at that point, because that rabbit would only be a 25% double chocolate. You need to be at least 50% double chocolate to get your lilacs. So you would have to breed it to a chocolate again, then keep a kit from that litter. Then you can start working with your lilacs. And technically, it wouldn't even have to be a chocolate. You could keep your blues out of that litter. You can keep any of, if you breed. So once you introduce the chocolate in, that's 25%. Then you keep a kit, whether it be blue or chocolate. You keep a kit out of that pairing. You have to breed it to a chocolate again. Not a chocolate per se, but a chocolate carrier. You have to breed it to a chocolate again to get your 50% chocolate. Then keep a kit from that litter. Those are your ones that are going to be producing your lilacs. So that's 3 generations. 3 generations is where you have to be to carry the lilac gene.
Which is why, again, you hear us say that dilutes, when you're breeding dilutes, it is not a beginner project. And it's something you want to look at as you are more, please leave the champagnes alone. That's something you want to get more into as you're breeding for more advanced, when you have more space, but also know a bit more what you're doing to get the color as well as the type.
Yes. And Englert mentioned toenail color. Yes. That is going to be one of your culling features. You have to carry consistent toenail color. If you do not carry consistent toenail color, that rabbit needs to be culled. It's not a genetic thing. It's that rabbit thing.
A lot of times when you see off-colored toenails, a lot of times, especially in mini Rex, what it is, it's a hidden Deanna gene or a hidden random white spot gene, depending on where it's coming from. I just called out a buck that I got from an amazing line I got. They carried a white toenail. I'm not breeding in a white toenail to any of my lines. That is just asking for trouble.
Nope. The only way to negate that is to cull it.
Yep. You see
And then
it, it's done.
Blessed with Pets. I can't wait to see you get your license and start getting out to shows. I don't recommend just going to shows though. I recommend reaching out to mentors. Reach out and ask other mentors in your area if you can come see them and get help. A lot of times they'll start helping you, and then you have the opportunity down the road. They'll start offering you stock. That's
Yep.
how I got stock. I started talking to people. I befriended people. I go to shows with people. I help people at shows. And then the stock starts coming in. The stock starts. You're not going to be offered that $250 rabbit. They might deduct a little bit off of that rabbit because you're a friend. They're just trying to help you out. And also being a youth. A youth has so much pull right now in the rabbit industry. There's a huge shift in the industry right now to the youth.
Yes, it is.
A lot of these breeders are getting older and they're not seeing people coming to them. They're not getting people coming to them and saying, hey, can you help me? Hey, can you help me? Hey, can you help me? Be a youth. Go up to them. Go up to the shows. You find a breeder that looks like they're in their 40s or above and say, hey, I was wondering if you could show me some things about the breed. I'm trying to work with this breed and I'm having a hard time. They're going to take you under their wing right then and there. They will take you in and they will say, I want to help you. Because guess what? Their kids probably don't want their rabbits.
Nope.
So they have to find someone that is coming up in the breed, coming up and showing that drive that they want to see continue that breed. And they're the ones that you're going to get help with.
Yep. My 6-year-old, Lord help me for her. I will be at a show and I will lose my 6-year-old and it's like, oh, where is my child? And I will find her with the other mini Rex breeders just cozied up. And they're sitting there talking to her about their lines and what to look for. And that's how she has gotten a couple of her rabbits.
Exactly. You're gonna end up coming home with pockets full of bunnies.
And that is literally, yes.
She's gonna be sitting there cuddling with one of their little for sale bunnies. And they're gonna be like, no, just take it home. Don't worry about it.
Yep. Oh, that is how I have gotten things brought home, is because she will sit there, the grandmas of the show. So I have a 2-year-old and I have a 6-year-old. The 2-year-old, we call her the lop grandma, ends up with my 2-year-old just sitting on her lap, and she will be feeding her cookies. And next thing I know, she has a fuzzy lop in the baby's lap, and the baby is just there sitting, petting a fuzzy lop. And I'm like, I don't want this. And she's like, you're going to end up with one of these one day. And I'm like, look, you don't understand. I don't want fuzzy breeds. But because my little girls are there. Yep.
Yes. Blessed with Pets says she does not have any chocolates. Don't worry about them then. Don't worry about your dilutes. If you don't have dilutes going now, don't even consider them.
No, not yet.
Get time under your belt, please.
Yes.
Please take time. Get it under your belt. Please. You're 16. You're 16. You have many years. I'm 34. I've been doing this since 2003. I have done all of my colored projects. I secretly have had boos in mini Rexes. I hate them because of the Vienna. I may have had like 3 or 5 or 7.
Hypocrite.
Listen, I don't reflect on that time in my past because I wasn't the smartest person in that.
I'm gonna put one into your carrier next time I see you. I'm gonna sneak a boo into your fridge.
Oh no, that would stand out like a sore thumb because it's a carrier full of lion heads. It'd be like me putting a lion head in with all your mini Rexes. It's gonna stand out. GT Junior grows in Alaska says hello. I assume you're from Alaska. Hello. From Ohio.
Colorado. I have a friend that's PCSing to Alaska, and she's freaking out because she doesn't know how she's gonna get all of her rabbits up there because they're gonna be stationed in Anchorage.
Blessed with Pets, you are going to burn yourself out if you spend a lot of time in your barn. I will admit that right now. I used to spend hours a day in my barn, and I burnt myself out. I sold out of all of my rabbits for 6 or 8 months. I had zero rabbits because I didn't want to see the damn things anymore. But that is why I also now limit my time in my barn. I go out and I feed and I take care of and I work with them. Yes, I do.
Oh yeah.
But I don't
Weekends.
sit out there anymore. I don't.
Nope.
I don't need that time out there. When I go out there and I feed and I'm 100%, I'll sit there and I'll carry on a conversation with every rabbit in my barn. The entire time I'm out there, either grooming, checking babies, breeding, feeding. I'm carrying on a conversation with all of them. I tell them how my day was. But as soon as I'm done with my chores out there, I go right back in the house.
Yeah, and you don't think about it. You just give yourself a break.
I don't need to be invested in my barn that much anymore. I did it back then when I was in 4-H and when I was in school and right after school because I was going through a hard time in my life. Yeah. They were my out away from the world. Now they're still the same thing. They're my out. They're my away from the world. But I don't sit out there anymore because that's what got me burnt out. I was out there all the time and I'm like, it's not fun anymore. It's not fun. It's just you sit out there and you start thinking about all the pairings that you want to try and you think about, well, what about this? Well, what about that? Well, what about this? It's not as much as it's cracked up to be. Like you talk about all of the color codes and the genetic codes and everything, and I'm sitting here like, no, you're overthinking it. You're thinking too much. You're not a scientist. You don't need to be a scientist to breed these rabbits. You don't need to know those color genetic codes. If you know how to make them, you don't know how to understand them.
And the thing is most of what I do when it comes to color genetics is my fun little ADHD brain, and I need it for, like, booze, which is why it is an advanced it's an advanced breeder thing, but
Higgy Homestead says hi. Hello, Homestead.
Hi! She's fantastic, I love her.
Rune says, yay, I'm not the oldest here. No, you're not.
You're old. You're old.
Also, Rune says she has several lionhead breeders in her area, and she's interested in when I bring out the videos on lionheads. And any video you see me post is going to be lionhead based because that's all I have here to work with. Yes, I'm going to touch on all the breeds' facts, but I only have one breed here to work with, so I can't show you different things. I can't show you a mandolin pose. I can't show you a arch breed or a semi-arch breed. I can't show you a running breed. I can't show you any of that. I can only talk about it.
Yep.
Which Blessed with Pet says, Maddie, could you take a peek at the photos in your email, please?
Yes, and I'll also probably share them with Travis to get his opinion too, just because he is gonna give me a better idea for those crowns.
And Rune says genes are fun. Listen, the genes that I like to understand are the ones that I put around my butt in the morning. That's the only genes I like to understand.
That's horrible. That was a horrible joke.
I'm a dad. It's a dad joke.
That was a horrible dad joke, man. That was horrible.
Yeah. My extent of my gene knowledge is knowing my carriers, knowing what carries what, and not the code, the CCHBFC conglomeration into the mashed potato thing. I don't do that. I look at my pedigree. And I see what has been bred to what. If I question something, I call a breeder. I'm not afraid to look up a breeder. I'll call them and be like, listen, I've got this line here. Do you remember this rabbit? And can you tell me more about this rabbit?
Yep.
I'm not afraid to look up breeders, not at all. And
No, definitely.
they're not afraid to tell you. They might not want to answer how you got the rabbit, but they're not afraid to tell you what the rabbit carries.
Yep. Well, I found that a lot of breeders that, well, one, they're really into what they're doing and they're honest about it. They're going to be upfront and they will chatter about their lines all day. It's the breeders that don't know what
So,
they're doing and are
Rune-
sketch that don't want to talk.
Rune says she loves her meat mutt puzzles that she's been getting. She says it helps her learn the mashed potato thing. That's what I'm calling it now. The genes are just the giant mashed potato thing. The thing that you got to put all the letters together like alphabet soup and then mash them.
The mashed potato. Oh, God.
It's not necessary, is all I'm saying. It's not necessary to start breeding. It's not.
It's not. It's not.
That's a 20 years into the breed. You're bored and your ADHD brain needs some serotonin to find something out. And my brain likes serotonin, but guess what? It's not with letters.
I feel called out. Jesus Christ. Leave me be.
Listen, I chase serotonin just as much as you chase serotonin. Mine just happens to not be letter soup.
Hey, I gotta do something. I gotta do something when I'm talking about freaking life insurance.
You are doing something with them stupid brokens.
The brokens, the tries, the booze.
I would rather see the torted than a broken.
How about a broken tort?
No.
Ooh, I'm gonna combine the torts and the brokens, and one of these days I'm gonna send you a picture of it, and you're gonna have a heart attack.
And it's probably gonna end up being a dilute tort to boot.
It's probably yes. I'm agreeing. Like, look at this lilac torted broken, and you're gonna be like, "What the fuck is that?" And I'm gonna be like, "The surprise!"
It's that secret that nobody knows about that's in my barn. That's really in my barn. You know,
the amount of
whenever I go on live out in my barn and you only see 10 rabbits, it's one of the 50 that's in the background that you don't see. Or the one that sneaks its little nose up into the camera frame and you're like, what was that? What was in that?
What do you got in there? Why is that there?
I'm like, I thought you said you had 2 champagnes. Why does it look like there's more? Why do I keep seeing a champagne nose pop into the camera?
The amount of animals I actually show that I have versus how many rabbits I actually have. That's why for 2-3 years I said I didn't have champagne d'Argents. The entire time I had like 20.
Okay, Blessed with Pets wants to know, what if she focused on booze and perfect them? Blessed with Pets.
You don't have the room.
Listen, unless you have 50 empty cages sitting there, you are not ready. You are not ready for booze. You're also, how long have you been breeding rabbits? Because that's going to determine. Because you have to know your lines.
And your breed. Because so the problem with booze is getting a line. You are not going to find what you have to be worked enough to get that nice compact type unless you are getting your breeders from California, from Susan. You do not have perfected boo lines, which means you have rangy, long, horrible fur typed boos. And I say this as somebody who has that.
Unless all of your boos came from Ohio. Ohio
has the Mecca. Not Ohio. No, not Ohio. The top boo breeder is California. It's Susan. You're not going to find
Rune. You say people think that you're insane when you tell them you have 11 or you have 10 breeding rabbits. I have 25. I have 25 breeding rabbits in my program, and that's not babies in nest boxes right now. I have 13 does bred for my national competition coming up in April. 13 does. That's 13 litters at 4 babies per litter. Do the math.
I plead the fifth.
Oh, we already know you're 50 plus. Even though you show your barn, he's a little tiny barn.
You're not seeing the other barn. You're not seeing the other barn. You're not seeing the commercial barn.
You haven't seen the stack of shame in the garage.
How'd you know about the garage?
Oh, I don't know, because you posted it like a year ago in one of your lives that you had to move half of your barn into the garage. Because
multiple lives. Get off my bed. Off.
Blessed with Pets. If you're on Facebook, send me the pictures. I'll look at them real quick, and then I can give you. Because if you want to hear it while we're in this live right now, just send them over to me in my Facebook Messenger.
Yep, because I don't have my email set up, and I'm not gonna jump out right now. But no, that's the one. It's a good thing and bad thing about being an adult is I have all of the room and the space and the money to fuck around with whatever I want to do that I didn't get to do when I was younger. But that's also a double-edged sword.
So I come from a rabbit background. My grandmother had 300 plus rabbits in a
I love your grandma.
60 by 200 barn.
Oh my God, yes.
They raised commercial rabbits. That's all they did was commercial breeds. They did all the commercial breeds. They raised them, and this was back in the 70s to early 80s. The peak.
Damn.
The peak of the rabbit industry.
Yep.
My dad left that. My dad resented that for his entire life afterwards, because he was the one that was out there feeding and watering 300 rabbits in the middle of the winter in Ohio when it's below zero and all the water crocks are frozen. Because back then they didn't have water bottles. Back then it was crocks, ceramic crocks, and they don't hold temperature at all.
No, they don't.
You put water in it and it freezes 5 minutes later.
Yep.
So he resented that for his entire life. And then in 2003, when I brought my first rabbit home, he swore up and down that I would never have rabbits. So what do I do as a teenage boy? I get more.
Get rabbits. Mm-hmm.
I get more and more and more. And I kept going to my grandma because my grandma would get them for me because she had a burning passion for rabbits. And she loved it that her grandson wanted to be in it. So my grandmother was my enabler, and she bought me any rabbits I ever wanted. And then in 2003, I started my first rabbitry, and I raised them till 2015, left for a little bit, came back with a new breed, with a new rabbitry name, dropped that rabbitry name, and now I'm at King of the Jungle, and I run King of the Jungle because it's lion heads. What do you think of when you think of the lion? You think of the King of the Jungle. It's in the song. It's the King of the Jungle. I was going to go for Pride Rock. That one was taken. So I couldn't go with the stereotypical lion head Pride Rock. That one was already taken. Somebody already took that stereotype. But I will say this, if you ever get a rabbit from me, it will have a African lion themed name. Every one of my rabbits has an African themed name. The one that I showed here just a minute ago, his name is Scar. The blue tort that I had in here on my Facebook Live, his name was Ed. Like the dumb hyena in Lion King.
Yep.
I have all kinds of them out there. I've got one that's named Raven after a lion head in one of the after one of the hyenas in one of the spinoffs. I've got a Kovu. I've got a Nala. I've got a Shenzi. I've got a Kiara. They're all I've got like 3 pictures of different Disney themed lion names and other characters from Lion Kings. So that's where my basis is coming from until I run out of names. And then once I run out of names, I'm going to search in the history books for lions' names forever
No,
and
no, no.
always.
What you need to do is do like I do. If you look at my pedigrees, right? We have Snowball 1, Snowball 2, Snowball 3. We're doing the
Yeah.
Simpsons.
So if you go with my daughter shows meat chickens in 4-H, and every year we get a 10-pack of chicken nuggets. Every year they're named Chicken Nugget because they're big fat white chickens. You can't name them different names because you don't know which one's which.
Chicken nugget.
So they're all Chicken Nugget. And then whenever you have to register them, it's Chicken Nugget 1, 2, and 3.
Yep.
And then they're like, well, how do you know which one 1, 2, and 3 is? I said, go find 3 of them, and that's your 3. I said, go grab me 3 of them. 1, 2, and 3. There you go. It don't matter which one's which.
It doesn't.
But
yep.
with my tattooing on my rabbits, so my rabbitry name is King of the Jungle. So it's KOJ and then a number. Yep. And I think I'm up to like number 10. So it's KOJ 10.
I'm up to, so I do it, the barn initials, which is DM, and then I either do Delta or Bravo, depending on if it's a buck or a doe. If we're looking at the does for this year, I do the year they're born and the sequence number. On bucks, we're up to 43.
Oh my, Rune is going with Pokemon themed names. She says Charmander, I'm assuming, is one of her bucks. His daughter's name is Togepi.
Love it. No, that works really well though, especially honestly, like there's like 300 Pokemon.
So yeah, name your rabbitry something fun. Don't be one of those ones that names it after like their last name or something. Make it a fun name. Who cares what other people think? And then 2, find something fun to name them after. Like all these people want to name them fancy names, and it's like one of my does that I have is Mountain Ledges Hot Topic. Why do you want to name it Hot Topic? There ain't nothing hot about it to topic it.
Right.
Why not name one Scar? And there's 2 names that I refuse, and I will hold on to this until I find the perfect 2 bucks out of my lines. I will not name a Mufasa and a Simba until I have the perfect 2 bucks. And I will not name a Simba until it's from a Mufasa.
Oh my gosh. That is some...
You have to follow the theme. You can't name a Simba before a Mufasa, and you can't name a Mufasa and a Simba because Simba is Mufasa's son.
Does that mean you have to see? You should have waited to name one Kiara until you had a Mufasa, a Simba, and then you have Kiara.
Listen, Kiara was born from Nala.
See, you shouldn't have had a Nala until you could have brought her to Mufasa, or not Mufasa, Simba. And then you would have had a Karabi.
No, because Kiara is
the son of or the daughter of Simba.
No, she's the daughter of Mufasa.
No, Kiara is the daughter of Simba because she got with Kovu.
Because it was Simba and Nala.
Simba and Nala.
And then Kovu came from Simba.
No, Kovu was the son of Scar and the darker lion that sang Kovu's lullaby in number 2.
Yeah, I didn't name Kovu. That was his girlfriend. He didn't have a name. He didn't have a name until we were on our way home from the last show because he went and placed second place on his first show.
That's not
So
bad
he
at
didn't
all.
have a name. He didn't have a name going to the show. He got his name coming home from the show from her. She's like, well, he deserves a name now. He got a second place. I said, so fucking name him. And she's like, well, how's Kovu? I said,
So mean.
fucking beats me.
So mean. Oh.
I don't name animals until they prove themselves because if I have to kill them, then I feel bad.
Like, see, you need to get over that. I don't care if they have a name.
No.
Nope. Names and numbers are the same in my brain.
No. Now, if they make it past, they do good showing and they get a name, and then something happens to where I got to call them, then I'm fine with that. But if they don't get a name, they go to a show and they don't do well, then they were just rabbit 1, rabbit 2.
See, then you haven't had children in your barn who name everything and you just get numb. It's just like, oh, you're this rabbit, this rabbit, this. No different than the numbers I have in the book.
Nope. You know what my kids know them by? They know them by their color. They go like, oh yeah, that black tort, or oh yeah, that blue tort. My daughter is hung up on the blue torts right now. She is in love with the blue torts. And I said, just wait till you see these lilac torts. I said, you're going to be in love with these lilac torts.
My little girl is obsessed with red-eyed whites right now.
I may have a little side project with some roos. I'm going to pick up a roo buck in the morning.
No, your little white cretin you showed me earlier this week, I showed her that, and she thought it was just the prettiest lion head.
That's the one that I was telling you about that is that hot topic.
Yep.
She is the best rabbit in my barn right now, going genetically. She may not look, she's not the perfect rabbit looking, but the genetics are there. So like in mine, I look at it 2 ways. Mm-hmm. If they have the potential and if they show it. Okay. If they show most of it and they have the potential, then I breed them and give them the chance.
Okay.
But there have been rabbits that I have bred that show it that can't produce it. Mm-hmm. And I've had rabbits that look like utter dog crap as an adult that produce my best rabbits ever.
Oh yeah. I get that. Fucking get that all the way. Strawberry, for instance. He's my little bud, but the baby, you saw Banana, right? Banana's absolutely gorgeous, but her dad is 6
Banana's
pounds.
The one that I told you need to eat, isn't it?
No, Banana's not the one you told me I need to eat.
Because you sent that one, and I'm like, yeah, it's nice, but it's like, there's something that's not right about it, and I don't like it.
That was what's his face.
Okay, yeah, what's his face? Just what's.
He's not deep enough, to be honest, but his fur. He has the density, like that extra density that most of the time you only see in roos in a broken black. And I can use that towards my broken black project for a generation just to up that fur closer to my roos.
Yeah. Okay. So Rune says Howling Bunny Rabbitry is already registered and her last name is Wolf. A wolf? They're pretty majestic. What about Night Stalker?
Night Stalker.
Go about Night Stalker Rabbitry. There you go. You thank me later.
That'll be $1.50.
Well, I mean, I was going to go for 2 cents. She can pay me for my 2 cents.
Oh my god.
Blessed with Pets, Amazing Grace Rabbitry. Every single rabbit is named after the show Heartland. I mean, I can get that, but you're going to run out of names fast because that wasn't a very big cast.
It wasn't. See, but then what you do is if you're doing like the show, what I did was I would have a single name, like for instance, I have a strawberry and jelly, right? Two different rabbits. Jelly's babies are like grape jelly, raspberry jelly, and then I go down the line, and then strawberry's babies are like banana and all of those down the line.
Oh, okay. Rune says that's what she got it. Her rabbitry registered as is Howling Bunny. I mean, I've never seen a bunny howl. I will say that.
I don't know. Have you seen some of the screamers?
I mean, they were. Listen, we're not going to talk about that conversation because
not YouTube appropriate.
That is a good way to get banned.
I'm just saying, I haven't had one in a while, and I threw my tort in with some, like, the first time I bred my tort, I threw him in, and I turned around for 2 seconds to grab something to turn back around, and he was screaming, and I thought the doe had gotten him. Nope, the doe had not gotten him. He was fine.
And then also another good one to think about is Dungeons and Dragons themes.
That is a great one.
Mystical creatures.
And you know what? I don't have my Dungeon Master box because I DM. My box is upstairs. Otherwise, I would have just like flashed my entire monster manual I have.
Yes.
And you can just go through the monster manual.
Blessed with Pets says there are 17 seasons and infinite horses that have names. I won't run out of names for years. Listen, if you keep all the rabbits and don't call, you run out of names.
You do.
Because you get attached and then you got to name them, but then you want to sell them so they have a name.
Mm-hmm. Because here's the thing. In my rabbitry, I can have anywhere from 200 to 300 babies within a year. Yes. So if I name all of them, I'm out of names.
Right. Yep. What's Rune here? Rune says Togepi terrified me the other day when the buck did his job. And she says Star Wars names would probably be great too.
To start, but you'd run out of those pretty quick too.
Or not Facebook Live, YouTube Live with the yeah.
Me.
Brain fart. Well, Madison, the one that I'm doing the thing with, you know.
The thing we don't talk about. It's a surprise. Surprise.
Well, you know, it's normally the lives are an hour, and I think we're going on almost 3.
Yeah, we got to talk, and I gotta get going because I have.
This is Kovu's mom.
Hi, Kovu's mom. I was just talking about how much I love you because you actually do things in the barn.
I try my best. I don't know anything about them, but I try.
I told her how you videotape at the shows.
I do, yeah. That's my job.
I stand over by the writer and listen to what the judges' comments are, and she stands over with the camera on the other side of the table recording.
Amazing. I love it. I would love to steal you sometime because I would love that kind of support. That is amazing.
Oh, anytime. I mean, if I'm there, I'll video for you too.
She's in Colorado.
Hey, I'm sure we'll run into you at a show or something.
Yeah, right. She's working on coming back for Ohio MiniCon.
Oh,
that's cool. Yeah,
perfect. Well, I got all your stuff then too.
Love it.
Except for she raises them dreaded mini Rexes.
I mean, I could watch.
Don't touch one.
I don't know. I don't know anything about them either.
Touch but one. You'll bring one home. You're gonna touch one.
I don't think I will. I'm pretty good about saying no to animals. He is not. He is terrible.
Yeah, I go to listen. I went to convention. I went to convention with 5 rabbits.
And I said no.
I purchased one to bring home from convention.
And we came home with 3.
And we left with 3 extra.
Yeah, I'm supportive, but I almost wrung his neck a little bit.
But
that's not bad.
Yeah. But on my behalf, I only paid for one.
Sir.
The other 2 were given to me.
Sir. All right. Well, I'm gonna let you guys finish your thing. But
Nice to meet you.
it was nice to meet you.
She just got home from work.
Ah,
So tired.
She had to close tonight.
closing shift can be the worst because you have to deal with people, and then you still have to like close everything down. It's
Oh yeah. Yeah. And you don't have to deal with like the normal old time morning person. You have to deal with all the crazy fucks that decide to wait till last minute to come
Yep.
out.
Yep, and then they want to stay like an hour past when the store should close because they forgot. All right, I do need to get going here
Yes.
though because I gotta finish tattooing. I just got those guys done. I have like 3 more I have to do for tomorrow, and then I gotta be
Yes.
up at 4 a.m. to feed.
And Blessed with Pets also says she does not. Her parents will not allow her to have Facebook.
Yes.
So yes.
I'll send you
Email-
the photos that she sent to me via
Email
email.
Madison, and then she can forward everything to me.
Yep, and we'll review and kind of go off each other because between the 2 of us, I think we can handle lop breed crowns.
I hate them, but I don't hate them. Like
Yes, I agree.
they're kind of like, oh, it's cute. Like I almost did bring home an AFL from one of the shows, but I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I smacked myself out of that one.
That's
Because
okay. I almost brought
who doesn't want a woolly lop? I'm like, can we get some lion lops? Can somebody start making lion lops?
Oh, what kind of blast? No, go sit in a corner. Go sit in a corner for that.
Listen, how cute would they be? Big old bushy mane.
Corner. You stay away from the backyard breeders. Corner.
Listen,
No.
I'm not a backyard breeder. I am a reputable
You are,
backyard
so
breeder.
you should know better.
I'm a reputable backyard breeder, and I will make conglomerations just like you do with your stupid brokens.
I eat them. They don't go to anyone else. I eat them.
Who says that I wouldn't let the coyotes eat mine?
No lopped lions. That sounds like a horrendous idea.
Okay. Hear me out. A lion head mixed with a Brit.
Are you trying to die?
A full arch lion head.
Okay, so we're doing a full arched. I'm not thinking about this. Full arched lion. Are we doing the fur style of a lion?
The mane and the flank skirts of a lion head on a full arch breed.
Giant type, or are we doing
No.
like a tan sized?
We're doing like tan to Brit.
You know, a project like that would probably take 10 to 20 years to perfect the skirt with the arch, right?
See, I would just want it right on where the back legs are, right at the table.
Right at the table. So we have.
So their whole
mane in
midsection
front.
is open,
Mm-hmm.
and then the mane around the head, the big bushy mane around the head.
It's doable. But when we're looking at the lion gene,
they already have the break, so technically you would only be extending the midsection break.
Stop this. No. Stop. No. I'm
Listen,
sitting here running
full
my
arched
mind back
lion
and
head.
forth on how long this. No, stop it.
Full arched lion head.
What would you even call that? And what would the 3 main differences be for the SOP to get it approved for a COD?
Hear me out. Mix it with a Rex. So it doesn't have rollback. It has Rex fur.
All right. So our differences would be for size. We would have a mid-sized breed.
You would have a mid-sized breed, a full arch, which separates it from lion heads, because the lion heads aren't upright, compact.
And then you have the fur type with the Rex saddle. And then if you want to, you could throw it in as a running breed and watch their majestic manes flow in the wind.
Do you know the amount of blasphemy we are speaking here and how many clubs we would be kicked out of?
That's okay. We'll start our own.
I feel like Kara would wring my neck for that nonsense.
Rune wants to see a full arch torted silver fox. Breed for narrow faces, long tail, and tiny ears.
We're not going to talk about the project I've been working on, okay?
Also, hear me out. Brits, Belgian hares.
Okay, Brits.
A miniature hare.
Okay, look. Hares are already horrendous for me.
Or a dwarf hare.
No. You want to get me on a rant.
A dwarf hare.
Californians.
Mini cows are fun.
No, they are not fun. They are angry and shit meat.
They are fun.
They are not fun.
Cute and fuzzy. And why didn't somebody just call them a compact Himalayan?
I will
That's what they
fight.
look like.
I don't want to ever meet the creator of the COD for the mini cows. I will fight them fisticuff style.
I seen them for the first time. Listen, I seen them for the first time on the COD table at convention, and I'm like, oh, look how cute they are. Somebody brought their little Himalayan mini Rexes.
Just do a Hemi mini. Just do a Himalayan mini Rex. Why are
That's already a thing.
Exactly. Why not? Why are we taking a breed that is standoffish?
Also, I want to pick whoever's bones it was that decided a standard Rex is a 4-class rabbit and also a commercial rabbit.
Okay, wait. Yeah.
You can't have both. If you're a commercial, you're a 6-class.
Nothing makes sense, okay? And have you ever seen the first gen of Rex?
Have you ever seen the mini Rex first gens? I had them. They looked like crap. It looked like you took a basketball and you stuck a head on it.
I loved it, okay? I also had a first gen mini Rex. Leave me alone.
And also, whenever they started going to that arch over and then slapped off at the back, I'm like, who cut the butt off of them?
No. You want to see a fight right now in the mini Rex community. The fucking arch versus the fucking cut off asses. The interclass fighting of what a mini Rex should look like when it comes to arching versus fucking what looks like a mini commercial.
Listen, I feel that there should be a definition, which it is. It's a definition of where the toes line up with the hip that lines up with the peak.
Yes.
That's how it should be.
Yeah.
Your peak is right here over the hip.
Yes.
And then it should round through the hind quarter.
Then why are
not look like somebody took their butcher cleaver and went chop right at the back end?
And yet the chop is what's taking so many show tables because why?
Because you can go like this and force it in.
Stupid.
I want to see tiny lop ears on a Netherland dwarf. You can. It's called a Holland lop.
It is. I hate Holland.
That's exactly what a Holland lop is. It's a Netherland dwarf with lop ears.
Mm-hmm.
And the Holland lop and Netherland dwarf are the base for the lion head. That's how they got their high head mount, semi-upright pose.
Oh, yeah.
Those 3 breeds are all in conjunction with each other. The main difference is, drumroll please, the ears. The ears are the difference. That's the only thing. And then obviously like the fur and the colors and stuff like that. But they are all based off of the same body type. All three. And Jersey Woolies are right there with them. Jersey Woolies are a woolly Netherland dwarf.
Yep. Sometimes I look at old CODs and I'm trying to figure out where the 3 differences are. I'm telling you.
Blessed with Pets. I don't know what size Netherland dwarfs you're seeing, but the Netherland dwarfs are supposed to be the same size as the Holland Lops, or vice versa. The Holland Lops are supposed to be the same size as a Netherland dwarf. So if you're seeing larger Holland Lops, you need to start bringing your size back down.
A lot of times what you'll see in the pet community is people breeding them too large to where they almost look like Frenches or Englishes.
I'm seeing a lot right now. I'm seeing a lot of people that are calling them Holland Lops, and they're looking like mini Lops.
Yep, that too. Yep.
When you start getting questioned for being a mini Lop, you need to bring your size back down. There is a set size.
Mm-hmm.
And in my opinion, and in every judge's opinion, you're going to see them favoring the smaller sizes. They don't want to have to carry that rabbit over to the scale and verify that weight. They want to be able to visibly see that that rabbit is below that weight tolerance.
Most of the time, if you see a judge carrying a rabbit to a scale, it's going to be a DQ, because most of those judges have scale eyes. They can feel an animal and say, this is within standard. If they're taking it over to the scale, most of the time it's the wrong size.
Blessed with Pets, you sold off your big Holland Lops. You're pretty sure that they were mini Lops. One thing is, a Holland Lop will want to carry themselves in that upright position. They will not want to lay on the table like a mini Lop. That is your biggest thing. Always breed for those rabbits that want to sit in that position. If they don't want to sit in that position, it's because they're what is it? They're whatever.
Compact?
Their body type isn't proper.
Well, any breed really, like even like with mini Rexes, if you're breeding proper type, they want to sit in the proper position.
Yes.
If you don't have good type on an animal, they sit out of the position they were bred for to standard.
Yes, and I touched on that in my live today. The biggest thing you're going to see is a properly structured animal is going to want to sit the way that the standard of perfection says.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a rabbit that's pushy, it's because of an attitude issue, or it's because you're forcing them into something that hurts them.
Mm-hmm.
If you're pushing them into that nice little arch and you're pushing their head down against the table and they're pushing back at you, it's one of two things: attitude or that hurts.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't have the right build and you're forcing it, it's going to hurt. Just like if somebody took you and tried to roll you up in a ball and you're not flexible, you're going to say, ow, that hurts. Stop. I'm supposed to be this way.
Well, if you were looking at the little mini Rex I was playing with yesterday, she kept running into me and balling up because she was trying to hide. And every time she was running to hide, perfect little compact pose.
Yes. All right. So Blessed with Pets. This is going to be one last thing before we get off here, because I'm getting tired and I know Maddie wants to go to bed.
I don't have to go, but I got to go get ready for show.
Okay, so she needs to go get her kids to bed so that she can get tattooing done. I will get my buck out here because the way that I'm going to pose this buck is going to be just about the same way you're going to pose your Holland Lops.
Yep.
Okay, so you're going to get them out. You're going to get them on the table. I always take 2 fingers and I'm going to put them right here on his cheeks. And I'm going to put this hand here is going to go up against his butt. I'm going to lift up with this finger is going to be under the jaw. These 2 fingers are going to be on his cheeks. Hold his butt so he can't back away from you. You're going to push him up, and he's going to set himself down. He's going to fight you a little bit, but you should be able to pick him up and set him down until he sits in that upright position, just like that. And he should hold himself. A proper rabbit will hold themselves into that unless he smells a doe on the carpet. And then he's going to be like, no, I want to sniff that. Now, I've seen people, they'll go like this and they'll push them all the way back to where their front feet are touching their back feet. See how he throws himself out? He don't like it. It hurts. He doesn't want to be like that.
Hips and
What he wants to put his front feet straight underneath his eyes. He wants to carry his head high on his body. And he wants to have his legs straight in line with his hips. Just like that. It kind of looks like somebody smashed him in the face with something because how blunt his face is. But you can see, here's his eyes, there's his front. He wants to stay in that line. He's going to hold himself up nice and high, light on the front feet. That's one thing they say in the lion head standard, light on their front limbs. He's not pushing into the table hard. He's barely setting these front legs down. It's all in his back and his structure. He's able to carry himself through his back and keep his feet light on the table. Just like that. And see, he's willing to hold himself here because he's properly structured to hold. Now, if you get a lion head that wants to sit like this, and you can't get them to pose, but you can get them to sit like this and they'll just sit there forever, structure's not there. You don't have the proper structure in your body to hold that pose that they're supposed to have. But just simple underneath the chin. They're gonna get away from you. They might nip at you a little bit, but it's the best way to get that head up without damaging anything up here. I've seen people go like this, put their thumb right here in their forehead. I don't prefer that because my rabbits don't like it. My rabbits don't mind if I get under their chin because they can get away from me if they want. This here is more like pinching them. This here is I'm just resting their head on my hand. And then when you're flipping a Holland Lop, and this is where I'm going to tell you that you can make or break a rabbit. Right here, in between their ears, is called their crown. On a Lop, that is their number one thing in their head. You don't want to break that. So if you go and you're just grabbing them right here, you're going to break that soft crown. That crown is just cartilage. It's easily broken. Once it's broke, it's broke. And then their ear sags, and then it heals, and their ear is always going to be sagged. So take them and handle them carefully. You're going to take your one ear, you're going to put it up over your thumb, take your other, put it up over your palm of your hand, and then you're just going to wrap your thumb around so you're grabbing the ears above above that crown. Then you can grab your scruff of your neck and flip them over. Don't be hard on that base of those ears because that's where you're going to break them, is being hard with those bases of those ears. Let's see. So they are not posed in the photos I sent. I will look at the photos when I get them, and I will talk to you about that.
Yep, I'll send them Bless with Pets because I know you.
She says, "OMG, my rabbits do not do that." Yeah. So if your rabbits don't willingly want to do that, that means they're probably not going to. Either that or they haven't been worked with. If you start working with them and they freely do it once you've worked with them for a while, then there's potential there.
But I have had babies that I've gotten off of people and they never touched them until the day I went and picked them up and bring them home, and they're just little buttholes on the table.
Oh,
But after working with them for a couple of days, then they're finally getting the hang of it. And they're like, okay, he's not trying to hurt me. We're okay. Let's see. Blessed with Pets says, yeah, I've got some very selective breeding to do. One, very selective breeding, and also you need to consider what we're telling you about your varieties. I'm not trying to be a dick right now, but you need to be a little bit more selective of your varieties. A Boo project is not a beginner project.
Yes.
And I'm being 100% honest with you. And Blessed with Pet says, I don't really scruff my rabbits. You're going to run into problems if you don't control their head. The biggest thing when you're flipping them over to check their stomachs and their genitals and their teeth and their eyes, controlling their head. If they can move their head, they're going to freak out and flip. Dude, my arm's not food. Could you stop? Yeah. So flipping them over, say this one here, if you don't scruff them, say I just grab them here and I want to flip them. If you don't control their head, they're going to want to get back over. This one's not doing it because he's like, okay, I'm done. You can do whatever. But I have rabbits in the barn that if you just try to flip them, holding them like this, you flip them over and they're more willing to move this head. And if they can turn their head, they can flip their body. Also, somebody was asking me in the group earlier, and I'll post a picture of this tonight or at some point. Number one way to tell if you have a pinched hindquarter is the angle of their feet when you have them flipped over.
Yep.
Now, this buck, look at how straight his feet are. See how he pulls, and that's another thing. If your bucks or if your rabbits splay their feet out like this and you don't think they have a pinched hindquarter, rub them right here. Mm-hmm. Rub their belly. Give them a little tickle. They'll suck their feet into where a natural position is. Now, see how straight his legs are? Tickle him right here. Get him to straighten his legs up. Look, there's no V right here between his hocks. 0 V. These legs are straight in line with his sides. Parallel legs equals width in the hindquarters. Parallel legs is width. A V is pinch. You do not want a V. You want parallel. Another thing is, if you flip them over and you're looking at them like this, you can see your width throughout doing this. Because their front legs are going to do the same things that their back legs do. Their front legs are going to come down on the same width as their back legs are going to come down on. So if you're looking at them from the stomach when you have them flipped over and you get them to put their feet out straight, the wider their feet are set apart, the more width you have.
And you want that width in the front as well as the back, because I see a lot of breeders when they're first starting out, they're so focused on the hind end that they get almost that triangular formation where they have these huge ass ends and these tiny front rib cages. So you want that width to go from hind quarter up to the front.
Yes, always parallel. Your front limbs should be parallel with your back limbs, in line with the outside of your rabbit.
Mm-hmm.
They shouldn't be sucked in. They shouldn't be pushed out. Should be parallel from head to front limb to rear limb. Parallel lines. Blessed with Pets, you said your head goes in your armpit. That doesn't work when you're checking sex, checking for any genital problems, checking for any stomach ulcers or anything like that, checking mouths, checking eyes, checking nose.
Like this.
When you flip them over,
Sex.
you want their head away from you.
Mm-hmm.
You want their head pointing away from you, because then you can check their eyes. You can roll them, check their eyes, open up their nose, check their nose. Then you can, I'm sure you're used to this, but they have a split top lip. And all you do is you just pull this open, split their top lip open, push back on their cheeks, and then you can look at their teeth.
Oh, this is kind of hard to say, but look at this.
So then you want to check, you're going to rub across their stomach, everything, check for any lumps, any abscesses, anything like that. In your does, number one, check for mastitis frequently.
Yep.
You will lose does to mastitis.
You will.
It will happen fast.
And if you lose a doe to mastitis, and odds are you're going to lose a bunch of kits too.
Yes,
because even if you foster out, if the numbers aren't right, especially with your smaller breeds, they can only handle a certain amount of kits for the milk they're producing. And if you're not doing en masse, like Travis and I do, where you're breeding 12 does at a time, it's harder to send out a litter of kits.
Yes. So if you're breeding in a small scale, say you've only got 2 or 3 does that you're breeding and you only breed one at a time, and that doe gets mastitis and you lose her, you just lost that whole litter because you have nothing to foster her onto. Unless you're willing to get up every 2 hours and feed with a little syringe. And I'm not that guy. I wouldn't do it for a single one of my rabbits. Not one. I lost a beautiful lilac doe because I wanted her for my dilutes. She got sick with a urinary tract infection, and I tried clearing it up with natural remedies that I have, and it didn't clear up, and I lost her. And I didn't lose any sleep over it. It happens. And I'm not going to sit there and cater to one rabbit in my barn. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to cater to babies. I'm not going to cater to any adults.
I only cater to one rabbit, and that is the one that lives in my child's room. And that is the pet. That is the pet that is never shown. That is the pet that is trash. But if anything were to happen to that buck she has in her room that's an actual pet, that is the only one I will ever cater to, because that's an actual pet and not a meat/show animal.
Blessed with pets. I will have Madison get in touch with you on trying to get you into a Zoom call or something, because I feel like you need more than just what we can give you here. Because if you're saying that your buck sits so low that you don't think he can pose like that,
it's going to be a buck.
That's a buck that's considered coyote bait to me. If I have to force it, it's not meant to be. So, yeah, we'll get in touch with you on that one. Mm-hmm. And scruffing your rabbits, you say you will do it occasionally. I check every single rabbit once a week. Every single rabbit once a week. And you say you have 11 cages and 11 rabbits. That means, in my eyes, you should not be breeding anything. You don't have the space. You need open holes. So if you have 11 rabbits and 11 cages, you either need to call half of your herd, or you need to save up money, buy more cages, and then consider breeding. Because you're never going to, what are you going to do with that litter at 8 weeks old? Because if you have 11 rabbits and you have 11 cages and your doe gives you 4 rabbits, what are you doing with those 4 rabbits at 8 weeks old? Because you can't leave them with mom. Yep. They will kill your doe, because they will chase her around trying to suckle off of her until she runs herself in the ground.
Not only that, but especially if you're not breeding for meat. Like for me, if I have too many rabbits, I'm going to eat something, right? That's no problem for me. Especially since I have commercial type rabbits. Plus, I have multiple cull pens where they can live up in cull groups until that thing's hungry.
Yes.
This
I
thing
do
takes
keep mine. I do keep mine together. I keep mine together until either one, I notice cage chewing.
Yep.
If they're in a cage and one of them's getting chewed on, then I separate them, or I separate them at 13 weeks when I make my final decision on who I'm keeping.
Yep. Stop trying to eat them. Hey, leave it.
Well, you just said dinner. Now he's licking his lips.
Yeah, he's thinking he's getting fed because I said, "Was you hungry? Those aren't yours. Those aren't yours, baby."
Yes, Blessed with Pets. I'm going to reach out to you as a special mentor to you because I feel that you deserve it. You have a lot going on and you seem very scatterbrained on what you need to do and what you want to do. So I will extend the offer out to you to help mentor you. I'm going to be harsh. But I feel like you need it.
Yeah. And the thing is like, I'm a little more nice when it comes to things. Travis is not. And that's not a bad thing. Sometimes some people need more harshness. Listen to him, but honestly, another thing is he's not doing it from a personal perspective. When Travis says something, he's saying it strictly from a position of like fact of what he sees. There is no I don't want to say emotions, that's the wrong word. When he's saying, "Hey, XYZ is looking like this," he is saying it strictly from a perspective of what something looks like.
Yes. And honestly, I'm going to give you my opinion based on how well you do presenting that rabbit to me. Because I can't put my hands on it. I can't physically touch that rabbit or put it in the position that I feel it needs to be in. So it's going to teach you how to best handle your rabbits. Because if I tell you that it looks like it's got a low headset, then you say, well, I think I might have posed it wrong. Then that's encouragement for you to learn how to pose it right. Because when I first started with lion heads, my biggest thing was I was overposing them. I was putting their front legs too far back, making them look too far upright, making them look like they have too high of a headset, making them look like they dipped in the front shoulders. I learned that with them because of how that breed is. They have to be a high headset, semi-upright. Same thing as the Holland Lops. Same thing as your Netherland Dwarfs. Same thing as your Jersey Woolies. They're a high headset, semi-upright breed. It's harder to get them perfected posing-wise. But all right, guys, I'm gonna get off here because it's well after midnight.
A little bit.
And we started here at 9 o'clock.
We got about 3 hours in.
Yeah. So I'm going to go hit the hay because 1, I have to go get a rabbit in the morning. And 2, I am tired because I've been up since 5 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, you need some sleep, man.
But it was nice talking to everybody. If Madison gets back on her schedule of going live weekly,
that is the plan.
I will be with her every week as long as she has me. And we have big things planned for the Facebook group and also coming to YouTube and aka maybe a podcast. Maybe if we can figure out the details, that's coming next year. That's an after New Year's kind of deal. We're still working out details on all of that.
Yep. Got to figure out setup and then also how to run the Spotify.
Yes.
But once we get that figured out, we will be unstoppable.
Yes. So, good night, everybody. And we will talk to you next week. And I will be in touch with you, Blessed with Pets.
Yeah. Thanks for being on, Travis.
Thank you guys for having me.
Of course.
Bye.
Bye.